Cigar Company is your one-stop shop for all your cigar needs. Whether that's a brand new humidor, a box of those new cigars you've been waiting for, a top-of-the-line cutter or lighter, a place to enjoy the finest cigars and spirits with friends, or the only cigars grown right here in the Sunshine State, we've got you covered. Come visit one of our retail locations for the ultimate cigar experience. Visit us online at coronacigar.com.
How about that cigar?
How about that cigar?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Corona Cigar Studios for episode 286 of How About That Cigar Live. Thank you so much for joining us live on Facebook, live on YouTube, and live on Rumble. And for those of you listening after the fact on the audio podcast, thank you so much for making How About That Cigar a part of your regular audio podcast rotation. Take just a minute, if you would, please. Click on all of the big, beautiful buttons. The like button, the follow button, the subscribe button, the have a good day button, the don't be a dick button.
Don't be a dick button. That's a definitely button we got to put out there.
Button number one. That's button number one, definitely. But we're grateful having you guys with us. And of course, let us know what you're smoking. Let us know what you're drinking. Join us in the comments. We have some great panelists coming on in a few minutes to talk about a little trade show that happened just this past week.
Allegedly. Did it really happen? We weren't there. So did it really happen?
That's true. If a tree falls in the forest,
does
then
anybody hear it?
Does How About That Cigar cover it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what the question. I can't remember the question from
Squirrels.
All right. So we took last week off for my wife's birthday. So no show last week.
Can I say that?
You can say that.
Well, she's not here, so I can say
and some stuff has happened in the world of sports. So Minnesota Wild and the Timberwolves both snuck into the playoffs.
Yeah.
The Timberwolves
whooped that ass.
Yeah, they tore up on the Lakers in game one. The Wild lost game one against the Vegas Golden Knights. I don't think the Wild are going to fare too well against Vegas. They're going to get
swept into it.
They might. They just might. The Twins suck. Super quick.
Oh yeah.
Easy report. The Minnesota Twins are god awful.
My Yankees are still solid.
Your Yankees are very solid. Very solid.
But unfortunately, the Mets have a better record, I think, right now.
It's still April.
It's early.
Yeah. So don't worry about that. And Thursday this week, the NFL draft begins.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody, get out there and do your mock drafts or whatever it is you do. Go Packers.
Yeah.
Go Pack, go baby. That's all I gotta say.
Let's get that guy that third leg.
We absolutely need to bring in the fabulous producer, Justy Smoke.
Hey,
Big Pimpin' in the house.
How you doing, brother?
It's still 420, right?
No, I was yesterday.
Oh, wait.
It was.
Okay. Got you. It's Monday.
Yeah. So it's all right. It's close.
Yeah.
It's close.
There was a meme that was going around. How'd it go? Oh, to my offsprings, happy Easter and happy 420. Either praise it or smoke it.
Oh, nice. I like it. Just realized I forgot to pull this up, but it is time for us to introduce this week's Spirit of Mystery, brought to us by Postania Cigars. Do you find yourself unsatisfied with the top 10 list from How About That Cigar? Are you wondering how cigars from Postania didn't make the HBTC list, but found their way onto other lists? Well, fortunately, you can be reminded every week with this Postania Cigars advertisement. Postania Cigars, the #1 unranked cigar in the industry. So as you can see here in this glass, we're going to call this a healthy pour. And it smells like a bourbon.
It's a bourbon.
It smells like a bourbon.
Does it taste like a bourbon?
I don't know yet, but it's got good color, great aroma. It's got some legs on the glass, so I'm thinking that means it's going to have a good texture, which I like
all
texture.
About the texture.
All right, here we go.
You better take another one. That was a really tiny.
No,
sip.
that was a pretty good sip, actually. That's not too bad. I like that. It's got a lot of that natural sweetness, classic vanilla oak, a little bit of funkiness on the end. On the finish, there's a little bit of funkiness, almost like maybe finished. I say that about all of
Say
them.
that about all of them. Yeah.
But it may be finished. But it's got a nice aroma, nice flavor, good texture, and there's a long finish. It's not like watery where it just the flavor dies out right away. So that's a good one, I think. So we will. I'll keep sipping that throughout the show, and we will reveal what that is later on this episode. So we have so much to cover tonight. I want to get right into it with our panel. And as always, on How About That Cigar Live, special guests are brought to us by Drew Estate. And the Deadwood Tobacco Company by Drew Estate is proud to unveil Dominicana. She represents a milestone for Drew Estate with the focus purely on the Dominican tobaccos inside, all enhanced by the Mexican San Andreas binder and Connecticut shade wrapper leaf with a premium sweet cap. Available in 4x38, 5x50, 6x50, and 6x60. Dominicana made her grand debut at the 2025 PCA show in New Orleans with MSRPs of $6.50 up to $13.50 per cigar. For more information, please visit drewestate.com.
So do you think her being called Dominicana and her being like a sugar skull Mexican
means she's sweet?
I think she's a little maybe a little sweet.
Hey, she might be sweet.
Sweet tip.
Nothing wrong with that. I'm good. I'm okay with that. But, ladies and gentlemen, as you know, we were not able to be at this year's PCA trade show, but we are so grateful that we have some fantastic people from the world of cigar media to join us and tell us all about what they saw, heard, and smoked at this year's trade show. Starting off with, from Cigar Press, Mr. Fred Rui. Welcome back to the show, brother.
Hey, thank you. Thanks for having me on the show.
And joining us for the first time from the Simply Stogies podcast, please welcome James and Tim, brothers. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
So, yeah, it was weird for us. You know, we were talking, you know, leading up to the trade show, we knew we weren't going to be going, and we were a little disappointed, a little sad that we weren't going to see everybody, because it's mostly about that, just being together with everybody. But, you know, I didn't think it was going to be a big deal until I started seeing everybody's posts on Instagram and Facebook and that kind of thing. And I was just, you know, was tugging on the heartstrings like, man, I really miss everybody. But, you know, we know that specifically guys like you know, the people that we have on the panel tonight are, you know, from a media standpoint, you kind of put that media hat on and you want to see sort of things through the eye of a person who wants to convey it to a consumer in some way, shape, or form. And that's one of those takes that we love getting from guys like you. So we appreciate you being on the show. We cannot wait to jump in and, you know, learn about what you guys saw and heard and smoked. But one of the things I'd like to do before we jump into that, for people who haven't seen any previous episodes, or people who have been smoking cigars for a long time but living under a rock, and, you know, don't know who you guys are, I'm going to start with Fred. Just give a quick synopsis, who you are and a little bit of your time in the cigar business.
Yeah, so media was the last side for me to jump into. So I started, you know, I mean, a cigar enthusiast, still am, still love smoking everybody's cigar. I had my own brand for 7 years, then I sold it. Then I did some other stuff for a little while in the industry. And last fall, I purchased half of Cigar Press magazine. So this is the first show, and I've been to, I think, 12. This is the first show I was on the media side, and that was a completely different world for me. Like, I'm literally showing up to film, like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I've watched the media go around. A lot harder than I thought it would be. Thought it would be a lot. I've always heard of the guys saying, yeah, there's just too much to cover, and there was. I've always liked sharing what's going on at the show. It was just kind of a different perspective and a different side. So it was very strange for me, but I'm excited and excited to share at least what I saw. I don't know if it's good, bad, or indifferent, but I'm going to pass it on.
And Fred, what are you smoking with us this evening?
Right now, I'm on a one-off black Louisiana.
Very nice. Very nice. And from the Simply Stogies side, James, I'm going to start with you.
Sure.
Tell us a little bit about you and Simply Stogies.
Yeah, no, Simply Stogies started that 6 years ago. We're celebrating our 6th year this year. This year was our 5th year at the trade show. It started off as a podcast. I'd been podcasting for 15 years, and I was like, well, I should just podcast about my cigar journey. It was like a new hobby for me. I was super into it, loved cigars. I knew nothing about them. And it kind of evolved over time into this monster that's now it's a long form interview show. We have my co-host Nick Cirrus on the show, who owns LH Cigars, who is, great at, helping to facilitate certain interviews with folks who may not be very friendly to media sometimes. And then, on the website side, about 3 shows in, I met Tim, who you'll introduce here in a second. And he said I needed a website, and I told him I didn't. And he finally said, yes, you do. And I acquiesced. And now we have a website, and it's kind of grown to this thing. And I remember Tim very early on was like, let's do an after show about the show. And I'm like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And for years, I kept telling him it was the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And finally, a couple of years ago, he asked again. I got tired of hearing him ask. I was like, fine, but you're doing it. You're editing it. I'm not. I'll come on and I'll talk. And that's it. And that show has taken on. It's got a life of its own. And I'm happy to say Tim has gone with me to the trade show all 5 years. So yeah, we've grown from where we were 6 years ago, and we're very proud of where we're at. We're very happy to be here tonight, and we appreciate the invitation.
Nice. And James, are you smoking anything with us on the show?
I am. I brought 2. I don't know how long we're gonna go.
We'll see.
Right. I'm smoking an Avowed, the Vow right now, which is such a great smoke. And then I've got the Lure Fat Tony.
Nice.
That I will light up when this one's done.
Nice. So yeah, Tim, tell us about yourself, and what would you say you do here?
Yeah. So trying not to echo what James said, he's absolutely right. I was a member of the Cigar Rights of America when James reached out to me. He's like, hey, man, you want to come on the show, talk about the CRA? And I said, I'll do you better. And I reached out to the CRA, got Glenn Loop on the show. And then from that point forward, James apparently thinks I have connections and he won't stop calling me. But now, I'm just the guy who handles all the technology behind the scenes. I do clear the air, trying to get into product reviews, and constantly tell James, no, don't stop. We're at a good spot. We can keep doing this, buddy. Let's go. You can do it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Gotta love that positive attitude.
Yeah.
Well, at least one of us.
That's all fake.
And what are you smoking, Tim, tonight?
So I'm starting out with the Oz Family Caratoba. Got that from the trade show there. And just like James, I didn't know how long we were going to go. And we do at Simply Stogies absolutely love Lure cigars. And my second cigar will be the Mean Gene.
Nice. Well, I was even telling Justy and Raul tonight that something I did for the first time ever was send questions ahead of time, because normally I don't do that. But seeing as this is in the past when we've done a PCA recap, we were also at the trade show, and the people we were talking to were at the trade show with us, and we just kind of shared ideas back and forth. But seeing as we have really, we know how the PCA trade show generally works, but each one does have kind of its own fingerprint. So we want to get those ideas from you about the good, the bad, and the ugly, and everything in between. We'll mix up, who goes first on questions and things like that. But for this first question, I'm going to start with James and just ask, in your mind, what were the good points and bad points of the location, New Orleans versus Las Vegas?
Okay, so we're starting there, huh?
Yeah.
I kind of figured that would be the starting point. Honestly, in all honesty, in all deference to everything that Vegas has been to the trade show for the last 5-6 years, New Orleans is objectively better in almost every category except for the meeting place. Now look, Vegas has the same problem now, right? So in Vegas now, the meeting place, like it's there's a couple different bars that they use or smoking lounges, right? B&Ms that they use at after hour parties and things like that, because the show's not at the Venetian or the Palazzo anymore. So there's no more circle or square bar that you can just go hang out, which I hated that, just if I'm being honest. Because everyone's packed in like sardines, and you're just basically, as media, you're there observing and you're trying to network and you're trying to have conversations with folks, and it never really works because it gets very cliquish, and that's fine. It's not that big of a deal. So you just kind of hang out with who you know, and it's like, in New Orleans, it suffers from the same problem. And look, from everything I heard, it was great except for one experience, and I think trying to have a business meeting somewhere is not the smartest thing to do at one of these after hours places. But Manning's and Cuba Creations, and I think there was a third one that people were like going to as well. Everything I heard, they did great. I just, as media, and I don't know about you guys, but as media, I got too much to do. I get done with the show. I've been walking around, as Fred said earlier. He kind of realized this year, like, there's a lot to do, and you can't see everybody, but you're trying your best. And as a guy who's almost 50 years old, like, it gets pretty rough. And yeah, I just want to go back to the Airbnb or the hotel, and we do a live every night. We do a live every morning. So we're up super early to get that done. We're up late to get the live done. Then we're editing. We're doing, data transfers and everything else just to make sure that we're good for all the content we're trying to put
hold
out.
up. I'm sorry to interrupt you there.
Go ahead.
You went live every night after the trade show and every morning before the trade show.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Are we not supposed to do that?
Crazy. That's crazy.
You should have told me the rules beforehand, Matt. I blame you.
I applaud.
Wow.
I applaud the dedication. That is unbelievable.
Well,
that
we just like to have fun with it. I mean, in the morning, it's like, hey, here's who we want to hit today. Like, got a good night's rest. Like, it's literally a 15-minute thing. But at night, like, there's a lot to kind of unpack. And honestly, it helps us, I think, as a team kind of unpack things. We can get into it later. But the newest guy, the guy who was his first trade show, Jimmy D, our newest reviewer. He's also a B&M owner, but this was his first trade show. And seeing it through his eyes, it's kind of like when you take your kid to Disney World for the first time and you see it through their eyes and they're so excited, like, oh, Mickey Mouse. And you're like, it's just some guy in a costume. But they love it, and and then she kind of re-energizes. So yeah, but all in all, like, to answer your question and not go down rabbit holes as I'm prone to doing, yeah, New Orleans is so much better than Vegas. So much better.
Okay. Tim, do you feel the same way?
I do, actually. I really do feel the same way. I think because in Vegas now it's at the convention center, it's not at the Venetian or, so you don't have the circle bar, you don't have the square bar. So you're now have two locations and both have the same problem. There's no real good central meetup place. So you can kind of throw that whole square bar thing away, throw it to the curb. But what I like about New Orleans is it's not Vegas. Like, Vegas is just all show and glitz and glamour and, college vacations. New Orleans
and weed
is just,
and herpes and
high-speed chases. Although you can experience some gunfire in New Orleans. That's not unheard of.
What?
It did happen.
It did happen.
That happens in New Orleans? What?
Yeah,
I don't.
Yeah. Overall, yeah, New Orleans, so much better.
Okay. Fred, what about you?
Were we supposed to read the questions you sent over?
I just supposed to put all of them into Chat GPT and get answers.
That would have been a great idea, actually. Look, I like Vegas. I've gone so many years that I don't gamble a lot. It sounds stupid. I like gambling, but I hate losing. I'd rather just go to a really good steak dinner. So one of the things I like about Vegas is the restaurants. That said, I don't think that if you like the type of food in New Orleans, I don't think you find it outside of New Orleans. I don't know if there's a spice they don't allow out of the state or whatever. The food is phenomenal. The vibe is totally different. It's almost like you're not distracted. I thought it was a great time of year to be in New Orleans. If anybody was there in 2015, it was miserably hot. You try to look good, and then literally by the second day, everybody's like, "Oh, screw it! I don't care how the hell I look anymore," because it's just you were all drowned rats by after that. We all hate the Circle Bar and Square Bar, but you know where everybody's going to be. And they're both horrible areas. The Square Bar is horrible because people are 5 deep into slot machines just hanging out. But you do know where everybody's going to be. There is a central location. That said, and James said it earlier, we're back to the convention center. The Sands is not necessarily going to be friendly to having us there. So we're back to a destination, to a convention center. New Orleans were good. I mean, I'd say the bulk of people were walking distance or real close to the convention center. Like I said, the weather was great. The food was great. I liked being in New Orleans. The only downside probably was that it was during the French Quarter Fest. Mm-hmm. So there were 800,000 people. So if you tried to go anywhere, especially for dinner, on the other side of Canal, forget it. Your Uber got within a block and then you just walked the rest. And it was very much mini Mardi Gras, only a little bit maybe older crowd, but still a mess. I heard the term of all the water and stuff running down Bourbon Street. They call it street gravy. And I don't think there's a better description ever to that, frankly.
That was my nickname in college.
Yeah, that was my line.
But the food is really good. Some great restaurants there, which I know I will probably hit on later. I liked it. I liked it. I thought it was a nice change. It goes into the rotation. It is in New Orleans next year. They're trying to facilitate back-to-back years so that the exhibitors don't have to ship booths back and forth. So it's next year in New Orleans, then it's 2 years over in Vegas, and then I believe they've committed to New Orleans the following year.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fred, what was the now when I asked this question, we all know that there's always the real number and then there's the advertised number. So how was attendance?
Well, I can tell you exactly because I got the numbers from them. So last year, I'll give you last year's 2024 and I'll give you 2025 as they reported. So in 2024, there were 2,200 retailer badges, which represented 850 retail accounts, if you will. And manufacturers could care less with the number. It doesn't matter if there's 7 people deep into a shop, that's one account. So it really is, you're keying on the account. So in 2024, there are 850 retail accounts. And this year, as they reported, there were 935 retail accounts. So we're saying basically another 75 more, 85 more, with about another 230 more people as far as that. Exhibitors last year were 222. This year, there were 241. So again, uptick on there. Overall attendance is about 500 more people. That said, I don't know if it's the layout that makes it seem, I would say that it was pretty close to last year. We talked about it and I talked about it with PCA. There's a day 3 problem. And I don't get a lot right when I'm making predictions on things, but my concern over the half day of losing the half day is the half day, which nobody liked. It's typically dead. Great opportunity for the smaller, brands starting out because people, look, the big 4 are back. Davidoff came back, so they are officially back after what I think it was a 6-year hiatus. So a lot of time is spent in Drew Estate and Davidoff and General and things like that, or Altadas. And so losing the half day to me always protected the third day. And last year, what happened was the third day basically turned into the half day. So you have 2 very full days, and then you have a drop off on day 3. I don't think the drop off on day 3 this year was quite as bad as last year, but they're trying to brainstorm some sort of anchor event to have at the end of day 3, because it's problematic for the exhibitors also because they have to break down at 5 or 6 o'clock at night, kind of half breakdown, and they got to finish breaking down the next day. So they really have to find a way to keep, if the numbers are really there, they got to find a way to hold them on the day 3 all the way to the end of the day, because a lot of guys were flying out day 3 in the morning.
Okay. So James and Tim did it, because the trade show floor is the trade show floor. And as Fred mentioned, the layout was pretty similar to the way it's been in Vegas the last few years. So did it feel crowded? Did it feel busy? Did it feel, like an electric kind of atmosphere on the trade show floor?
I'll go first, Tim, if you don't mind.
Go for it.
I think that answer depends on where you were at on the floor. So we were, as media, you try to knock out as many interviews as you can in the shortest amount of time possible. So you go where the people aren't. And for me, that was the back. That was, if it was cut in half, look, it was like 3 football fields long. Is how that's how it felt. May have only been 2. I don't know, but it felt like 3. And so it was much longer than it was. It was rectangular, not square, which is what you were used to in Vegas, right? So everybody was up front for the first day, and I'm like, it's dead. And the manufacturers that I was talking to in the back were all saying the same thing. It's dead. It's dead. It's dead. Well, you take one step past that halfway mark on the show floor, and it's the furthest thing from dead. It was packed, and Drew Estate was in the back. Aganorsa was in the back. Like, there were big names in the back.
Okay.
But it felt dead. On day 2, I talked to, I'm not going to name manufacturers, but there was a manufacturer that I talked to. I was like, oh yeah, the show is definitely slower than it was last year. Talked to somebody else. They're like, oh, that's much busier than it was last year. It really depended on who you talked to. And I know for a fact that there were several manufacturers that we talked to before the trade show who had told us privately, because the scare or the tariff scare, or the scarif, whatever you want to call it, the tariff scare, they because words are hard, they were getting calls from retailers saying, we canceled our trip to New Orleans, we're not going, we want the deal now because of the tariff. And obviously that was a nothing burger, at least for the next 90 days or whatever. So lots of people just didn't show up. So I'm always skeptical. And look, before I start, criticizing the PCA, I want to say that Joshua Habersky and company did a fantastic job with this. This was hands down, bar none, the best trade show I've been to in 5 years. It's the best that the PCA has ever done, in my humble opinion. But when the PCA says, oh, these were the badges we got, great. How many people were on the floor? Like, why are we not scanning badges like every other trade show? Why do we not have a hard head count of who's here and who's not? It's great you sold the badges, and that's fantastic for your bottom line, right? But why do we not have a hard head count? So we have a really good idea. You have a good idea, and the manufacturers have a good idea. Was it legitimately busier, or was it not? Because it was a mixed bag. People up front, busy all weekend long. And like Fred said, like that third day, I as media, I loved that half day, because you could go in and you could get an interview with anyone you wanted as long as they didn't leave early. Literally, name a person, name the biggest name in the industry. As long as they were there, you could get an interview. Now there's no third day, or fourth day. So for media, it's like, oh man, I got to get everything on that third day. And third day was just as busy. I remember walking past Cavalier several times, at least 5 times, to get an interview. Luciano at the Constella booth. I waited 3 days to get an interview with him, and I had an appointment. And even on that third day, it was hard to get an appointment with him to sit down and get an interview. It was crazy. So, I mean, from that standpoint, I wish they'd bring the half day back. That, like Fred said, that would protect that third day. But Joshua did say in the press conference that they're trying to find, like Fred said, some kind of anchor event to really have people want to stick around to the end of that third day. Manufacturers were chomping at the bit to tear down. They just wanted to get out of there. I mean, everyone was burnt out. Everybody was burnt out. That's how busy it was that third day. It was crazy.
Yeah.
I will say one thing though. Even if you're talking equal numbers, I believe, let's say the numbers were the same, Vegas versus New Orleans, something like that. I will say there's a percentage, and I'm just going to make up a number because it sounds impressive, but I'm going to say 17 to 20% of people are in it for the Vegas vacation. They're in it because they're like, hey, I get a write-off, I get to go to Vegas. And they probably weren't buying much anyway. You don't have them because New Orleans is not necessarily, for the most part, the allure that Vegas is to a lot of people. So I want to say, even if the numbers were equal, there's more buyers, and I think that was reflective on the floor. I think there are more buyers, more serious. People aren't there for the Vegas vacation. They were there because they were there to learn and to buy and to talk to manufacturers. And I think that showed in the numbers and the sales.
Yeah, no, I would agree. One of the big things we heard is, the people from the West Coast aren't coming out. The people from the West Coast aren't coming out. Well, I mean, I listened to Dave Garofalo on his podcast on the Cigar Authority, and he said, well, yeah, but there were a ton more from the East Coast that made it out this time that never go to Vegas.
100%.
Why would they go to Vegas? So it's kind of, you're trading one devil for the other, I guess. So,
yeah.
So what would you say?
I was going to real quick on day 3. One of the things that I noticed is a lot of, I assume, retailers were on the trade show floor with their luggage. So they're literally checking out of the hotel room, going to the trade show floor, walking, maybe doing some business until they have to take off to, get their flight. But I was partnered up with Nick for the entire trade show. And I remember both of us for the probably till 1:30 in the afternoon on day 1, like, holy crap, there's nobody here. But as soon as we went to the front of the show, that's where everybody was. We're like, okay, people are here. And it's funny because if you watch our content that's coming out, in almost every single video, you're going to see somebody walk in front of the camera. Maybe even 2 or 3 times. It was one of those things where at the beginning we were kind of upset and frustrated, and then by the end of day 1, we're both like, it's the trade show, baby. That's what's going to happen. People are here to do business. We're here to observe. Just some food for thought.
Okay,
good point.
So, I watched some stuff on Instagram and Facebook. It looked like there was a lot more media this year. Smaller media groups starting out or whatever.
So Fred, going back to Fred's numbers with the retailers and the exhibitors, you're accounting for about 300 of that 500 growth. So where does that additional 200 come from? Now, I'm not saying that it all comes from media, but there was a lot more media on the show floor this year compared to to the last 4 years for us.
Yeah, I don't.
And there were 70 new exhibitors. Not those aren't all cigars, but there were 70 new exhibitors.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Okay. But yeah, there were to your question, there were a lot of media. And I don't know how much you want to get into that. I have made
get into it.
You say that
you're about to burn this boat.
Yeah. Look, that's a hard thing for me as a member of media to go. There's too many members of media here, although I've said that on the show several times now. There were a lot. And so how is the PCA supposed to parse that? Who do they decide is legit? How do they essentially gatekeep, right? And there were some things that happened this year with media that I wasn't very fond of, like the ability to ask for samples. I'm like, well, that's not why we're there. We're not there to get the free stuff. We're there to cover the event. And I feel like when you open that up and say, yeah, you can now ask for samples and you're not going to get your hand slapped, right? Like now it's a free for all. And we kind of poked fun with it with some of our friends from Fortaleza Libre. But there were a lot of media there. So, and I think I should leave it there.
To interject a question to add on to what you just mentioned. Did anybody witness firsthand, specifically cigar media abusing the right to ask for samples?
No, I didn't.
I didn't. And look,
I didn't expect there would be.
No,
I don't even look if it's a reputable media. And I think the PCA has done a good job cracking down on the media. They've done a good job of cracking down on the retailer that brings their friends. My point is, compared to what it was 10 years ago, trust me, but I will say, look, if I meet the sample thing is a non-issue anyway. If I go into a booth, whether it's new or existing, I'm not asking for samples because, quite frankly, your job, if you've made time or made an appointment with me, your job to sell your cigar is probably to have me smoke one of those cigars. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to ask for one. If you choose not to give me one, then that's on you. That's on you for me not necessarily covering it.
I agree.
I thought that was a weird clarification.
That's because
reputable guys shouldn't be, but
that's
other guys
because
out there.
Somebody in media specifically asked for it during a pre-PCA press conference, and they took it back to the board, and the board said fine. I thought, and it just, to me, that made it sound like petulant
it was
children.
weird verbiage anyway, because you couldn't ask for samples, but you could if it was under the guise of covering the show, which is why we're all there to begin with. So
under the auspices of doing media, like what does that mean?
It feels like at some point.
So Fred, let's get your view from being a new media guy. How'd the show go for you as at that side of it now? Finally hitting that side.
I thought it was good. I thought that, look, media, you guys work way harder than I signed up for. I have a little bit of an advantage because, and I've seen the way some people treat media, and I was a little concerned with that. I have a little advantage is because I knew a lot of them before, and so they can't like just turn on me because I mean I've been in the industry a while, but I understand, and I think most legit media does is, look, we're there to cover the show, but the business of that trade show is retail or manufacturer. It is not our job to get in the middle of it. It is not our job to interrupt. It is our job to set up appointments and take pictures and stay out of the way as much as possible. And I think if they find media that's outside, and I don't know what the guidelines are specifically, but if they're outside of that, then yeah, they probably should be either suspended or warned or whatever, and however they're doing. But the show is a lot to cover. I really thought it would be a lot easier to cover some of it, and it was not. There were a lot. I came back with a list of people that I've got to follow up with after the show because, quite frankly, I didn't have the time. I was surprised how hard it is to really cover that show, to not only cover the big guys that are coming out with something new and something memorable, and then also really give, the little guys coming on there that are trying to come out and trying to cut their way into it. It's a lot to cover, and it's just myself and Thor. I understand why some of those guys go in 5-6 people deep and divide and conquer, because it's the only way to really cover the show thoroughly.
Yeah. 5 or 6 people deep, you still can't cover the whole show.
No,
it's just huge.
You pick and choose. You pick and choose what you want to do, but I think the manufacturers, are very good with the media that's trying to do the right things, and I think they brush off the ones that aren't. And I think it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy of who as media had a good show and who did not.
Well, I mean, this was my point before the show. I'd love to get your take on it, guys, like Matt and company. Like, somebody walks up to somebody in a booth with a cell phone. Is that the same as somebody walking up with an actual camera, a camcorder? Is it the same?
I think it is
the same?
I think it is, because a lot of people consume media in a vertical format now. Whether it's TikTok or Facebook Reels, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, that kind of thing. But also there used to be only a couple, and last year we saw quite a few, and I'm sure this year there were even more, were retailers, and I think it's really smart for a retailer to bring one of their staff members with a cell phone and maybe a gimbal, and they use that as advertising for their customers to say, hey, we're here at the trade show talking to the people who make these cigars and talking about what we're going to have on our shelves soon. I think it's really smart and so is that media? No, not really, but it's retailers using it as an advertising medium.
And I guess I don't necessarily have an issue with that. My issue with that is more of last year, and Matt, you know this as well as I do, every year except this year. This year's the exception to the rule. Every year the media gets together with the PCA, and there's a press conference, and the press conference goes something like this. Hey guys, if you're in the room, you're not the problem. But we have heard that there are some people who are taking too much time at the booth, or we have heard that there are people who are asking for samples, or we have heard, and then when they get asked, well, who's the problem? They don't have an answer, right? Well, the problem is inevitably the folks that don't have media badges, who are just what you said, they're the retailers who are doing their own media. And I think that's fine and that's great, but there needs to be some kind of way for the PCA and for the attendees and the manufacturers to be able to tell who's who and who's doing what, and a little yellow ribbon on the bottom of our badges they give us ain't cutting it. Like there needs to be something different so that manufacturers and retailers alike go, oh, That's a retailer who's doing that and bogarting the time with Rocky Patel or Carlos or whoever, like, or Carlito. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the problem, is that there's not a way for people to differentiate.
That's up to the manufacturer who they want to play with. I mean, but let's be honest. I mean, how many people were not at the press conference for the media?
Oh, Jesus.
I mean, there was
nobody there.
There was like 12 of us there.
Yeah,
maybe.
it was
very
maybe
few people actually attend that press conference.
I was disappointed.
Amazed. I was amazed.
I'm glad you could say amazed. I will say I was disappointed in media. And I asked other people in media that I knew, I was like, hey, why weren't you there? And they're like, oh, we had stuff to do on the floor.
We all had stuff to do on the floor.
Yeah, but this is why we come, right? Like, I'm not saying, like, look, we filmed it. I'm not putting it out there because, number one, it makes media look bad because there's hardly anybody in the room. Number two, like, that's stuff that we use internally, right? So that we can keep track of things and have a note, because that's what media does. We kind of take a snapshot of the industry on a day-to-day basis.
But you don't think? I mean, look, you had Josh, you had the current president, the past president, the high. You don't think they don't have shit to do during that hour?
Absolutely.
I mean,
look, I was not happy with media as a whole this year.
Yeah,
and
I was disappointed.
Yeah, that press conference just
it always struck me. It always struck me where, you know, and a lot of it for good reason, that over since 2016 was my first trade show, that hearing a lot of people working in cigar media, you know, rumbling and complaining about, oh, the PCA doesn't give enough credence to cigar media. And then the PCA gives you your own press conference, your own conference to sit down and hear all of the numbers and specifics and ask questions and stuff like that. And then you don't show up. And then you've got to show up, I think.
Yeah.
I think
not
so.
Only that, they gave us the media. They gave us a nice big booth, all enclosed.
Yeah.
And every time I walked
so that's
by
new.
there, that thing was empty.
They're taking cues from TPE on that, because
it was great. It was a room that had a 10-foot wall and a bunch of round tables that you could use, and it was great. Look, I think they did everything they could for media, and you know,
that's fantastic.
Yeah. Like, I have absolutely no complaints at all with how the PCA
agreed
under Scott Pierce and now under Joshua Bursky have treated media. None whatsoever. They have bent over backwards, and I think Josh has taken that baton from Scott and ran with it when it comes to media. And I'm very happy with it. Again, my disappointment is not with the trade show or with the PCA. My disappointment is with our peers. I mean, can we not just do our damn jobs? I mean, can we not do? Really, I got very upset on our last live about it, and I kind of felt bad. Like, I hit the table like an asshole. Sorry. Can I swear on here? I don't know.
You can say whatever words come to your mind.
That's what I felt like, but I was so angry. Yeah, you don't want that. I was angry. Any words at all. I was very angry with media as a whole, and I still am. I came away from the trade show disappointed in what we in our peers and how we acted at the pre-press conference, our no-show at the press conference, and honestly with some of the coverage. And I throw myself in that too. I'm disappointed with us. I said earlier that Jimmy's the new guy and wide-eyed naivety and like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing ever. But he was right. He went to the opening panels, right? And he was sitting there watching it. And there was the media that was there was not engaged. They were not engaged. Henke Kellner is sitting there in the audience watching his son do a panel in an industry where Henke made such a huge impact, right? Mm-hmm. And really reshaped what the modern cigar industry is. And there he is watching his son, kind of take that torch and you're just like, no one's covering that. No one's watching that. There's not a camera on Henke. No one's taking a picture. No one's writing about that. No one's talking about that. And in a business, in an industry where it's all about family and it's all about relationships, like, for the media to miss that as a whole is so disappointing on so many levels. It really, when he told me that, it made me rethink our entire coverage and our focus going forward, not just for this trade show, but for trade shows in the future.
Yeah, I think media definitely missed the important stories this trade show.
Okay. So
ourselves included.
Before we get into the next question, I just realized that we didn't talk about what we're smoking on the show tonight. So I reached into my humidor. I grabbed. So this is a box that Drew Estate gave out at the 2018. It was still called the IPCPR show. Of all of the Unico series.
And I'm smoking the pork belly. Excuse me.
And Justy, which one did you grab?
I have the Velvet Rat.
And I grabbed the Year of the Rat out of this box. So just to let I totally spaced what we're smoking. So that's what we are smoking.
The next set of questions.
Yeah,
I'm gonna hit them.
Do it.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right. So what were the 3 biggest buzzes in this trade show this year? Cigar buzzes.
Well,
we're gonna hit the
Davidoff.
Yeah, Davidoff being there was definitely one for sure. I think, like, if you want to talk small brands, Adrian Magnus, there was a lot of buzz around Adrian Magnus, which surprised me, but like everybody seemed to be talking about them. The other thing that I like, the bad, I guess, buzz was there were several manufacturers that had 0 sales. Zero.
Like literally they didn't write a single order.
Not a single order.
Donuts.
Wow. Oh my goodness. I'm not trying to be a jerk. I just didn't even know that was possible.
It was again, it was the way the trade show floor was. If you were in the back, it was hit or miss. People really had to like come to see you, like Cavalier, Drew Estate. People went to see them. Aganorsa, people went to see them. But the smaller booths around them, and these were booths, I don't want to give away who they are because I don't want to out them. But yeah, they were around some pretty big names in the back. 0 sales.
Wow,
man.
Yeah,
that's tough.
Fred, what you think?
Brands or cigars specifically? Brands.
We'll brands first, and then we'll come back.
So brands. I mean, definitely Davidoff being back. I mean, it was the last holdout. It's been 6 years, so I think Davidoff being back in that room was big. We talk about the big 4. I think that was a really big, buzz from a brand standpoint. I'll save the other one because it's a cigar related. I think Crown Heads doing the repackaging had a lot of buzz because that was a significant repackaging move for them. Putting Crown Heads forward. I talked to John Huber for quite a while about it, and we were talking about what it looked like on the shelf and from a distance. And when you have a cigar, and this is what several people have gone through, and I think Crown Heads is probably one of the last of the bigger ones to actually embrace it. And that was when you put all your effort into what a brand or specific line is, the look, the feel, the culture of it. And then the problem is that on the shelf next to it, you have another one, and people don't get the connection that is also, in this case, a Crown Heads. So they went through and actually redid their lines to put Crown Heads more forward in a lot of their blends. And I think they did a very good job. I love the Mil Diaz. I thought the M was iconic from far away, and you can see it. And I was concerned about that one. Love the look of that. So I think that was one that had a good buzz to it as well.
All right. So then what cigar stood out to you guys? What couple cigars? 2, 3, 1? Yeah. Whatever. Your top 3 cigars that stood out.
Top 3 cigars that stood out. Yeah. Are you, like you talking about like when you're smoking 12 a day and you're trying to figure out what
I mean, it's, all right, so then, yeah, it's tough on the palates, but like ones that we're getting a lot of buzz on the show floor, ones you're hearing a lot about from retailer friends and social media attention, that kind of thing.
So I got 3 right out of the gate, and I could probably list more, but reducing it to 3. Espinosa doing the knuckle sandwich Puro or Puro, I think was phenomenal. I had several of them actually during the show because I kept going back to Ectorano and pretend that I hadn't had one. And of course, he knows the game and it's just something we play. But I thought it was very well done. look, they've got. I had 2 celebrities contact me 2 weeks before the show saying they want to do their own cigars, and we have seen celebrity lines fail for a whole lot of reasons. They have got a lot with Guy Fieri on there, and credit to Hector and what he has done on a lot of the blends on there. But I thought that the Espinosa Knuckle Sandwich Puro was phenomenal. I thought, and I would have lost money on Dion's Louisiana Tuanella because it's the Epernay with a dark wrapper. It's not a Maduro, it's a San Andres, but it is. In talking to Dion and obviously working with Louisiana before, I know a lot about his blends and his techniques. There is no binder change. There is no filler change. And it is a totally different cigar based on what he did on the wrapper, which is a non-Maduro San Andres and stuff like that. Great cigar. I think that one was a standout for me. I was really surprised by that. And then probably the biggest one out of my 3, La Aurora has what's called the Family Creed series coming out. And this is a totally different. I've always said La Aurora is one of the most underappreciated brands in the United States, the depth of the portfolio, but it is a very specific, it is a very Dominican cigar. This is the first time because, you know what, I guess it's been 18 months now, I could be wrong, that they brought everything in-house marketing and in Florida and have a Florida team. And they, with Manuel and Nola, they went to blend a cigar that was more for the American palate. And this is, if you're a La Aurora smoker and you go to smoke this is going to be way outside the wheelhouse of what you're used to. But they have nailed it for the American market on that cigar. And I think that that's going to be one that I'm hoping people try, because if you're not smoking La Aurora because that's not your wheelhouse, this is a totally different cigar, totally blended outside of what they normally blend, and absolute home run with it. So those are the 3 for me that were real standouts. And there are others, but those are the 3 that come to mind.
Nice.
Tim, how about you?
Yeah, so as a dedicated or primarily dedicated camera guy at the PCA trade show, I didn't get a whole lot of samples. And I didn't ask. That was our thing going into it. But I did get about 10, 12, somewhere in there. And I'm going to probably say the Valakari Astronomia, that thing just blew me away. I really did like that. And the Oz that I just had, that Karatoba,
that was really
I
good.
will be buying more of these. That is a good cigar.
That was really good. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I would say the Karatoba for sure. I mean, Valakari for me, I would go the Lumineer, the brand new Lumineer that's coming out. That's a cigar that's years.
See, I didn't get the Lumineer.
Yeah, well, that's he likes me more than he likes you.
Yeah.
You know, there's a new Warp cigar that's really good. Oh, God, I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. Also, the Fat Tony and the Oscuro coming out from Lure. The Fat Tony, I think right now is a exclusive to a retailer, and I won't mention it just because they're not your sponsor. So, but yeah, that'll be a wider release in the middle of May, I believe. And there were a few. Like for me, it wasn't. So, and I'm sure we'll get to it, but like you guys already kind of touched on it. For me, it wasn't really the standout cigars. Like there were a lot of rebranding going on. It wasn't just Crown, right? Casa Carrillo now instead of EPC. Even Blackbird's getting in on it, and they're putting a fresh coat of paint on things. So for me, it was more like the marketing of everything. And I know we're going to touch on the cigar pricing here, but like some of the people you would expect to be like the buzz, right?
Mm-hmm.
Constella, like that's kind of a rebranding. Like that's they now own Luciano and all the brands under Luciano, and that wasn't really, nobody talked about that a lot. Nobody talked about that, which kind of surprised me. Nobody was really talking about. I'm excited for that Illusione, but nobody was really talking about that either. It was just people were talking about other things other than cigars. Like, yeah, there was a little bit of buzz, like I said, Adrian Magnus and whatnot, but nothing like in years past where people are like, hey, you got to go try this cigar. This cigar is phenomenal. This is the one you got to try. Like nothing really stood out to me as far as that, except for the few that I mentioned.
Oh, go ahead.
We were able to try that knuckle sandwich because I went down to La Zona Palooza and I brought some back. That fucking cigar is phenomenal.
We were
Phenomenal.
not only were we blown away by it, we were very sad when we found out that because this was back in November that we smoked it, and we were very sad that it wasn't going to be shipping yet. Because good God, that cigar was incredible.
Yeah, I can't wait to try that one.
Yeah,
I'm super excited for it. But
That's
yeah.
good.
So it doesn't happen at every trade show, but there are some trade shows where there's sort of a trending wrapper leaf. You know, I specifically remember 2014 was the year of San Andreas. It was San Andreas mania in 2014, and then there was a Cameroon was, I think, 2019 or maybe 29. I don't know, but that was there one wrapper leaf that was, it just seemed like just about every other manufacturer was pushing something with that wrapper leaf this year.
No, not that I can think of off the top of my head.
Okay.
Everybody kind of.
I mean, maybe trying to figure out who actually claims San Andreas, but
yeah, right. Other than that, yeah, not really. Fred, did you see anything? Because I didn't. I
mean, if anything, there probably were more Maduros, or more San Andreas. There were more, Habano Oscuros, but that would only be because I'm pinned down and I have to name some, and maybe that's just because what I was noticing more of. But I don't, I think that you just got more traction on it.
So we've all seen the pricing trends in the last few years, and specifically more and more cigars seemingly in that what used to be considered astronomical ultra luxury price point, north of $50 per cigar, and even more common now, north of $100 per cigar. From a pricing trend standpoint, does it look like the trend line is going to continue going up based on what you saw at this year's trade show?
No. If you like, my honest opinion is you'll see some of it, but I think that the industry overall has hit a tipping point. I think that they've they saw what Habanos SA was selling the Cubans for, and what they're going for just on the primary market, not even the secondary market. And then we're like, oh, we can get some of that. But honestly, like, and this is like, has anybody smoked $100 cigar that they've been like, man, I'll pay $100 for that again for sure?
Hell no.
Like, I haven't. Like, well, there's one. There's one. It was a Mirafell. I really like that. I'll pay $100 for that again. But there wasn't anything like that was like that. I think the most expensive cigars were still in the $20 to $30 range, which I shouldn't be okay with, but I am. And honestly, I just think that consumers, like, if you talk to retailers last year, the vast majority of retailers were down year over year in 24 from where they were in 23, and 25 wasn't starting that great either. So I think manufacturers kind of took a look at that and we're like, okay, we need to slow down with this and look, the budget cigar, like, that's what the retailers want. They want that $7, $8, $5 cigar. And when you look at brands like McAuliffe, who are putting out bangers at $7 and $8 for $7 for a Robusto and $8 for a Toro in their color series, like, that's what retailers want, because that will move. The one that stuck out to me that was the most expensive that I'll still probably buy because I'm a sucker for, stupid swag, is the Dark Time from West Tampa. And that's going to be, God, I had my notes somewhere and I don't know where they're at, but that's going to be $20 plus cigar. And it comes with a nice little cutter that's in the shape of a watch, and yeah, whatever. That's fine. I get it. I'll get some shit for that because it's like, oh, you just want the swag. Yep, I sure do, because that looks pretty cool. So,
and James, that's okay. I'm with you there. I'll take the swag.
Oh, you like the swag?
Thank you.
Too?
I appreciate that. Man.
I was approached on day 3 by a gentleman from, and I'm probably going to butcher this name because if you watch our show, I butcher everything. But I think it's like San Giorgio Cigars. The gentleman walked up to me and he's like, "Hey man, come to the booth. I want to do an interview. I've got a $1,500 cigar." And I'm like, but like, I don't know anybody. I don't know anybody that is interested in a $1,500 cigar. Like that's ultra premium luxury. I don't think that fits with us.
From a brand that I've literally never heard of until you just mentioned it.
Exactly, right? And, what I should have asked, are you going to give samples?
Yeah.
Can I get a sample of that?
Fred, what did you see with pricing trends, if anything?
Well, look, I think that, I mean, forgetting the high end, you know, throughout $100 cigar or $1,500 cigar, which I didn't even hear of. I think that the days of a sub 10 to 12 cigar of quality is getting tougher. I think the consumer, we don't like the price increases, and I love James's thing. I think we should just coin the word scarif. I think that's great. I've never heard that, and I love that. Forgetting about the tariff implications that's paused right now, the consumer's been largely shielded for how much tobacco has really gone up, as far as the scarcity and how much more expensive it is to buy raw tobacco and things like that. I think what the segment that's actually getting appealing is not the $100, $150 cigar. I think if you look at people that are doing things different and unwavering in it, I was very impressed over the last several months learning more about United and Atabey and the process they do of different cedars and aging it over different rooms and stuff in Madrid. And I'm going to Spain next month, and I'm really hoping to see that facility. And I mean, so that to me is a luxury brand that has a process to back up why that cigar costs so much. And I think a consumer is willing to pay that for quality. But I agree that the value cigar is great. But I will say that the retailers also, they have no problem that there's a price of $14, $18 there, because they're actually making more money. The retailers that I've talked largely were down in count, but they were even in revenue because the cigars were costing a little bit more. So for the $1,500 cigar, great. Someone's going to want to buy that. Is it a cigar worth $1,500? I don't know. I haven't smoked it. I'm not going to weigh in and say that it is or isn't. I agree. Marifel is a phenomenal cigar. But you're talking special occasion cigars at that point. Right. I think what you want is, what is someone going to work into the rotation that, hey, I'm out on the golf course, so I'm going to do a value cigar, but I'm sitting on my deck and I'm willing to push the price point. I want less cigars and better quality. And if we have to bump it up $5 a cigar for my deck cigar or my lounge cigar to be a better experience, then I think most consumers understand that. But companies that are finding some unique that are aging it and stuff like that, like United, you understand what you're paying for. With Davidoff, you understand what you're paying for. They're probably a quality control second to none. Your Churchill you have today is going to be the same you have 4 years from now and stuff, and that's what it is. United with Bandolero and things like that, you're paying for that level of quality and that process, and I think the consumer is going to be okay with that trend largely.
Yeah.
So did you see anything Vitolas, because was it last year where everybody put out a 60? Did you see anything else this year? Like they were going to a smaller Vitolas, like the
Megalophobia?
Oh God, yeah.
What is that
talking about?
What is that? 14 by 134 or something
ridiculous
like that?
Ridiculous. Yeah, I think it's just a brick of tobacco. I don't even know how one would.
It's a war between two people, and they really just want it to end. I mean, I believe Lazuka's cigar says enough already or something. What it is they just want to stop this war. But I have seen a lot smaller ring gauges. I think we used to call them kind of dog walkers. And what I love about that experience about a smaller cigar, and a lot of them are embracing, is just because I don't have as much time doesn't mean that I don't want a full smoking experience. Yep. And the first one I remember of that was really the Fuente, the short stories and things like that, where I could have that experience. And I'm seeing a lot of them embrace that. Still a bigger ring gauge, not a giant ring gauge, but a shorter cigar, a 4-inch cigar or something like that. We're seeing more of those, and I think those are great.
But do you think that we're embracing those smaller Vitolas now because they're more, price effective, if that's the right word to use?
I don't know that they are.
People are.
I don't know that they are.
I don't know.
I mean, they're not, because the
in
guy,
some cases, they're a couple dollars cheaper than a Robusto. In some cases,
I think a lot of guys look at the shelf and go, "Look, I like that smaller format, but hey, for $1 more, I've got this bigger cigar." There's always going to be those people, but what is your time? How much time do you have? And that should dictate the size of your cigar a little bit more in some ways. And I think people are starting to realize that. I think I was on a show recently. We were talking about this. Is like, look, we gave Lanceros a shot, and we all like Lanceros. Let's move to Lonsdales, because to me, Lonsdales are usually better than Lanceros anyway, if done right. Yep. So let's just stop with our Lancero trend. Let's give it up. It had its run. It won homecoming queen, 10 years ago. Let's go with Lonsdales, and let's just try and see if we can get that.
I agree. Can I get on the board that train?
No, stop the madness. No,
Raul is
Raul. Listen, my brother. No. Listen. Lanceros are great. They are, but the only people who like and buy Lanceros are cigar geeks.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, your regular consumer who walks in to a lounge, to a B&M, they're not picking up a Lancero. They want that Robusto, or they want that Toro, right?
5 5/8 by 46, baby. That's the sweet spot, right? That's it.
T Corona.
Yeah. Corona Gorda.
Nice size.
The Lonsdale in almost every blend I've had a Lonsdale in is the best expression of that blend.
It's a lot easier. Not every cigar can become a Lancero, but they have a better shot of being a Lonsdale because there's more real estate to work with in the blend.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, I'll give you that one.
Yeah.
Kind of.
So from a standpoint of cigars that were interesting or unusual. Now, obviously, the megalomaniacal or whatever the hell it's called, or
megalophobia.
But cigars that were interesting or unusual releases. Anything that stood out to you guys?
Yeah, I would say Banff Around the World. Like that thing's got 14, 17 country. Yeah, it's got just a little sliver of every single country or whatever in it. And I have one. I haven't smoked it yet, so I can't tell you what it tastes like. But
Nick Nick got one for me. And he was like, I want you to smoke this, and I'm not going to tell you what it is until after you've smoked it.
I bet the Roleros hate them.
Yeah, I can't imagine they're very happy.
Damn cigar. Right. I bet they're like, you son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Every time they have to roll that cigar.
What?
But at what point is it just a gimmick? Like that $1,500 cigar. At what point is it just a gimmick? And I don't know if I really saw, anything that was interesting that wasn't really just a gimmick.
Yeah, I was like, I'm wearing an Apple Watch, not a Rolex. What are you thinking? Come on.
I think that interesting line that is a series. I think Blackworks putting their boombox together, which is a sampler of 10 years of these cigars, some of which people, think of the people that joined Black Label in the last 3 years that love all those limiteds they put out, didn't have a chance to try some of those. Some of them were never even available. Blackworks putting together a sampler box. They only made 1,000 boxes. That is 10 years, celebrating the 10-year anniversary, I think it is. Great box if you're a Black Label fan. Blackworks because it's under Blackworks. A Blackworks fan. Great box to pick up, and I'm sure they sold out on them.
One that I saw that I thought was really cool was Matt Booth in Room 101.
Oh my God, that humidor!
That one,
with
that
the
humidor. I had that later as something noticeable. The Room 101 humidor was gorgeous.
Oh my God, I saw that on
pictures of it. It was amazing,
just unbelievable.
And you know how much I hate those
Culebras.
No,
or Room 101.
Room 101 anniversary.
Yeah, you hate those. Yeah, you love those.
I already put out I said I put our guy out. Find me one. I'll give up a kidney to get one of those. I need one of those.
What about the world of cigar accessories, Fred? Did you starting with you, Fred? Did you see anything interesting, whether it was trends or one particular product in the world of cigar accessories?
I mean, there were three. I mean, the elephant in the room is the El Septimo Fabergé egg. The 25 million. I mean, look, I guess there's a buyer for everything. I saw the stats on the hours. I mean, basically there had to be 37 people working for 6 months nonstop to put this thing together. So that was, I'm not, it was interesting. It's giant in person. There were 2 of them. I think, one vendor that I saw that was probably a lot of people missed because it was kind of in a corner, and I actually have bottles coming to me. So there's a company called Abita, and they were doing non-alcoholic drinks, and they had 4 of them. And they're kind of sodas, but he developed them for pairing with cigars, and I did a tasting through all of them. They have 4: Candlewood, Tower 44, Vinny, and Royal, I think it was. And one has like a little saffron in it or something, and some other ones. And I don't remember what I was smoking at the time, but they were interesting. Price point wasn't bad for shops that either don't have alcohol or even want to have non-alcoholic options for shops that have bars. And I thought that was a very interesting, I'm going to do a pairing on that coming up, but I thought that was a very interesting accessory, if you will. And then I think lastly, I think Cigar Medics, Saka had his cutter, and Cigar Medics made a more affordable version of that cutter. I did actually get to have it. It's an interesting tier because it's this middle ground. I think it's $124. So it's this middle ground of, to me, the soccer cutter, which I have, I would just spend the extra money, get the soccer cutter, or go with a different cutter. But I'd be interesting to see how they sell.
Okay.
That's interesting that you say Cigar Medics, because I've heard Cigar Medics about a gazillion times since the trade show. And I did not get to go to their booth due to a different story, but whatever. That's for another time. But yeah, I did not even know that they had a cutter. I would say ST DuPont, because I was looking at affordable things like the Fabergé egg was at 25 million.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, not in my budget.
Where are you going to put your $1,500 cigars?
Yeah, exactly. But ST DuPont did have the Marvel or the DC. Which
DC.
one's Superman?
Yeah,
DC.
whichever one's Superman.
Didn't mean
DC.
to offend anybody, but
You offended me, sir.
Mm-hmm. And then I loved their Fender collab. I'm a huge guitar guy, so their Fender collab looks nice.
How are they going to get affected by the tariff? Like, I didn't even think, we were so focused on cigars, on the whole tariff thing.
Yeah.
But China, I mean, how much of this stuff is China? Humidors, cutters, lighters. And you take a luxury line, is ST DuPont just going to eat that tariff? Because let's be honest.
No.
I mean, the other country doesn't pay the tariffs. I don't care what the news says. I mean, the importer pays the tariffs, and then it gets passed on to the consumer. Now, when you add Keystone to that element, I'm really curious to see how they're going to handle pricing on that. And look, that's not an everyday cutter lighter scenario, but God, they're gorgeous.
Yeah. I already
really
told my
nice.
wife I want the Superman cutter. I was like, it comes out.
She's gonna box up ST DuPont divorce papers.
Oh, hey, if that's what it takes, then
and you don't get the Superman lighter in your divorce.
You don't get. She
takes it. Yeah. I'd like to also thank Fred and Tim for taking all of my answers to this. So I will instead pivot, and I will
say, go first. It was good to get picked to go first,
right? I will pivot and I will say, like, I'm a humidor guy, but not like your typical like desk humidors. Those in the Midwest, like Matt, Raul, you guys know this shit, it just doesn't work. In the Midwest,
it doesn't work.
With the temperature swings, like it doesn't work. So I prefer the cooler doors, right? So I've got an Affadino behind me that I really enjoy. And Rashing had, I think it was Rashing, had a humidor that had a draw tool in it. Now, I don't know anyone that will use the draw tool and go, oh, well, that's too tight. I guess I'm not going to smoke that. Instead, they'll grab their little, perfect draw or whatever they got and frickin' stab the hell out of it until they can draw through it. But
that's just a fruit that you dangle in front of your friend. Like, look what I got.
Like, look what I got, right? But like, that's the kind of the cool thing. Affadino has these humidors, which I don't have one because they were prohibitively expensive. I think they start at like $2,500 that are wrapped in leather. Like this beautiful brown leather that are just
that's $5,000 retail. Yeah,
$5,000 retail. They're just absolutely gorgeous. So those are the things that I was interested in from a, how how many different ways can we cut our cigar? Oh, look, it's a circle cutter. It's like scissors, but it's not, because we don't want you to have scissors because you might run with them and poke yourself in the eye. So, I don't know how many different ways we can cut or light a cigar. I mean, yeah, we can do it with more expensive stuff, but like how you store your cigars is probably the most important thing you do. So I'm really interested in those, and Affadino and Rasheen have some just absolutely gorgeous cooladors that will also heat and keep it. Like this one will heat, keeps it, I'm in the basement here, so in the winter it still gets cold down here. Keeps it at a perfect 65 the whole year. So that's what I'm interested in. And honestly, outside the Superman, because I'm a dork, the Superman ST DuPont lighter, like that's where I would spend my
What's the
money.
retail price on a Superman?
$19.99.
Oof.
Yeah, but dude, I'm just telling you, it's absolutely just gorgeous.
Nice.
There's a
pretty
matching pin that's I think 16.
I should probably only buy 2 then.
Yeah,
Just-
one
Yeah,
for me,
I
one
was
for
going
him.
to say limit yourself.
So James,
I'm
so I just got a Rasheen. Is it Rasheen?
Yeah,
Is that
I
how you
think
pronounce
Rasheen. Yeah.
In
So
America, it's spelled reaching.
I just got one 6 months ago, and I'm in Florida, and so the house is trying to keep it cool, and the humidor has always been a problem, and I love it. But what I found is, and I don't know if yours has this, mine's got that drawer at the bottom that is kind of the equivalent to like, it's this weird drawer that like is out of nowhere because it's all shelves. And it's for basically cigars you're going to smoke in the next week. You're supposed to put them in this drawer, and it's kind of like hotboxing them slightly.
Right.
And so I have Cigar Medics. I have their little humidor, their humidification test thing, which I've tested against a high-end one, and it's pretty damn close. And so I've been but those things are pretty exciting. There was some also that had a desktop that was pretty wide. It was about almost 2 feet wide, and it was a glass top, but he had lights and stuff, and it was really cool. And it was digital on the front, which was really neat. But he had that glass with that electrostatic whatever that when you close it, it was clear, and then it like smoked the glass.
Oh, see now
Wow.
that's what I want. Yeah,
That was cool. Cool.
yeah, that would be cool. Like, yeah, like that kind of technology exists. And we literally burn money. Like, we need more of that kind of stuff. I would like to have that on one of these, or I can just.
Oh my God! Can you imagine? Like you hit a button and it unsmokes the glass of the whole front of it.
Yeah, that's what I imagine the CIA has in their in their headquarters.
It's like a Rolex and a Timex. Each tell time, but there's just something so cool factor about Rolex and some cigars and some cigar accessories just kind of fit that it's like, do I need it? No. Do I want it? Fuck yes, I want it.
Yeah.
So we have issues. Just to recap, we have issues with cigars that are $1,000 or $1,500, but we'll put $2,000 on a Superman comic book lighter.
Yeah, 100%.
All right,
100%.
Okay, we can just making sure that we're all.
We can use it more.
You can use it more than once.
That's right. You only get one shot at that.
It's practically paying for itself.
That's right. Exactly. That's how I sell it to my wife every time. It pays for itself.
Good luck with that. Good luck with that.
So, all right, I got another question for you guys. Notable new brands at PCA for the first time.
Oh, that's easy. For me, it's easy. Valakari, Lure, that was their first show, and so for me, because I know those guys, I've known.
Had Lure never been at the show before? I thought they had been.
No. So Lure's only been in business for a little over a year now. And so this was his first trade show, and Valakari's been in business for a while, but this was their first trade show too. And so for me, it was fun to go to them on day one and go, okay, boys, like, are you coming back next year? I don't know. It's kind of slow. You'll have to kind of wait and see, right? Like, just as you would expect. Day two, it's like, I asked them this question. I said, do you see, or when you make the decision to come back, is it going to be based on your sales? Like, you have to hit X amount and then I'll come back next year? Or is it, I see the long-term value in this as far as brand exposure, and I hope I will get my money back in X amount of time, right? And they said, yeah, that's kind of where we pivoted to. Like, we think we might come back next year. And by day three, I went and I was like, so guys, you guys coming back? I asked both Nimmer and Lou. I said, are you guys coming back next year? And they both went, hell yes. Like, we hit the number that we needed to hit. And like, we're definitely coming back. So it was fun for me to see that for those guys, right? Because I know them and I'm friends with them, and for them to be like, yeah, we're definitely coming back. They see the value in it. The flip side to that is, as I said earlier, there were a couple of brands brand new. This was their first trade show, 0 sales. They probably won't be back. And to me, that's sad. This is an industry. It's a hard industry to get into, right? And then it's even harder to make any money. And so it's a combination of having a great palate, knowing what the consumer wants, and then also marketing. But then there's a little bit of luck involved too, and just your marketing kind of has to hit that cigar zeitgeist just the right way at just the right time to get just even a little bit of traction. And so to grow the brand, it takes a lot. And so to have these newcomers come in and be so full of excitement to be at the show, and this is going to be great, and this is going to be awesome, and then 0 sales, like not one sale.
Yeah, that's a punch in the gut. Yeah. And you get extra points for using the word zeitgeist, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Like Tim's over there going, what the fuck is a zeitgeist?
Chat GPT. What is? Don't forget about Stoic and Mayflower, 2 brands that I was also excited to see at the trade show this year.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of both of those brands before.
Stoic, I've tried Stoic. It's pretty good.
Okay,
yeah, Stoic's good. Stoic's good.
$10, $11.
Yeah,
right around there.
And that comes out of Klaus Kellner's new factory at $10 or $11. And we had him on the show. We had Vance Taylor on the show the beginning of April, beginning of this month, and he was like, one of his tenets is, obviously it's stoicism, but he's like, I wanted this brand to be approachable. And part of that is I'm not making, as much money as I could because I want people to try the cigars and enjoy the cigars. I want everybody to enjoy it. So yeah, like kudos to him. I think he had a pretty good show. I didn't really get a chance to talk with him after, but we did interview him on day 2, and he was like, yeah, it's a pretty good show so far. So.
And what I like about them too is I don't know if it's a little gimmicky, but once you take the band off, you can scan it, and it shows other people around you that smoked it, other places that are selling them. It was kind of cool.
Yeah,
yeah. It'd be nice to see the cigar industry kind of move into the 21st century a little bit. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but yeah, having Mayflower there, I left those 2 for Tim. Having Mayflower there, I think, was good. I mean, whether you agree with his politics or not, having Michael Knowles, who is somewhat of a celebrity, it's good for the industry, and he is very passionate about cigars. Again, we had him on the show. He's very he's a cigar guy, and he was like, I asked him. We saw him day 1, right as the trade show floor opened. We went and had an interview with him, and I'm like, you're here with your people, aren't you? He's like, this is the greatest thing ever. And I asked him, I said, I go, what's the one thing about the show that you weren't prepared for? He goes, the booth. He goes, when my team told me they were building me a ship, they literally built him a ship.
Wow.
And he's like, when they told me, I was like, well, that's going to be overkill. And he's like, and then I come in, and I see all these booths, and I'm like, oh no, we fit right in. And they won best booth for medium-sized company. So
nice.
Like kudos to him and his team. Just absolutely fantastic to work with. And the cigars ain't bad either. So don't sleep on Mayflower.
Fred, what about you as far as companies you'd never seen at the trade show before?
I mean, Mayflower was definitely, these guys kind of named them all off. Mayflower was definitely one. And and James said it, whether you agree with politics or not, it's good for the industry. I will say 2 things, because I've been there. And when I started Nomad and in there, look, one, if you just show up there, the work, your sales are not from just showing up at the show. It's just not going to happen. If nobody knows who you are, it's unlikely you're going to get any significant sales. It's the work you put in 6-9 months before the show that lead up to you getting sales at the show. If you just show up there with the booth and, hey, I've got a cigar, then you're probably not going to have very good results. It just doesn't work that way. And then that said, even if you are putting in the work, for me, and I think it's pretty true of most people, unless they're coming off another brand and already a name, it's the 3rd year. It's the 3rd year when someone goes by, you're new, they don't want to, a retailer doesn't want to take a risk. They don't know if you're going to be around. They don't know the source of your tobacco. They don't know if you have aligned yourself. Even if you have a good cigar, are you able to buy that tobacco again and continually have good cigars? When you show up around year 3, and that's what it was for me. And look, year 1 was okay. Year 2 was okay. We hit our numbers both years. Year 3 is when it really takes off because it looks like, okay, I've seen this brand before. I've heard of this brand now. And that's really when the mark is. So if you just showed up in a booth and you just popped it up and hope you're going to have great sales and you didn't do any legwork going into it or didn't have any pre-sales or didn't at least get your name out there, then you're not going to have good results. But it's year 3 when you really, look, there's a lot of choices, and there's also a lot of time, that people don't have time to, go look for all the other new brands unless they have a staff that's able to do that. So new people starting out, you've got to have a 3 to 5 year plan to really break in. We're the only industry that's 2 inches away from your competitor, and there's 500 booths in there, and so you've got to put in the legwork, and you got to have a good cigar, and you got to be able to repeat it.
Yeah, I agree that for a cigar company, especially a new cigar company, to go to the PCA trade show for the first time ever and come back and say we didn't do very well, we're never going to go back, it just doesn't make sense to me. I agree with you, Fred. It doesn't make sense. You've got to give it at least 3 years to and in between and recognize the fact that the PCA trade show is that's not where your bread is buttered.
No,
you've got to go out and do events every week.
Yeah.
Every week you got to be calling retailers every week, getting on the road, driving to or flying to retailers every single week in the 51 weeks surrounding the PCA trade show, and doing in-store events and doing social media, just gangbusters.
Yeah. Yep.
Because if you don't do any of that and then you go to the trade show and you don't do very well at the trade show, and then you kind of throw your hands up like, well, what the hell? Well, it's you're the problem.
Yeah.
You're the problem.
What? Look, if you're not in 40 to 40 stores before, you probably shouldn't be at the show. It's probably not the best use of your money yet. That's 15 grand to get, walk into the show, probably, give or take. That money should be spent on the road, doing events, talking to retailers, getting the cigars in their hand, so that when you show up, at least you've got 40 shops that are coming in to see what you have, what's new. When you first start out, you're talking people into why they should buy your cigar. By year 3, they're like, what do you got new? I'm in, because it's already been working in their shop. So you have to play it out a little bit longer. And you're right. You've got to get out there, and you've got to be doing events. You got to be getting it in their hands.
Yeah. So I want to tie these 3 questions kind of into one. And because they all really do kind of go together, because we all know this, that at the trade show, one of the best ways to network is not on the show floor. It's after the show floor closes. So let's talk about the best after hours events, the best lounges outside of the PCA show space itself, the best cigar lounges, and the best food.
That's what's most important.
Food is utmost importance. So Fred, let's start with you on that one.
I mean, that is, and this ties in exactly what we were just talking about. When you're first starting out, you're going to not write deals at the Circle Bar, but you're going to meet retailers, and then they're going to come by your booth. In the first couple of years, you make more contacts outside the exhibit hall if you're starting up new, than you do inside the exhibit hall, or at least you get them to come to your booth that way. The absence of a Circle Bar, which is exactly where a new person should be hanging out, or the Square Bar, becomes more challenging in New Orleans. They did a phenomenal job on the opening party, and you could, if you're one of those people that could work around the opening party, it was in a park, it was a great setting. The only thing I'm pissed off about is I didn't realize Dragos was in the corner doing oysters. Other than that, it was absolutely well done. For me, New Orleans, Cochon is the absolute place to hit restaurant-wise. I ate there 1 dinner and 2 lunches. So that place is phenomenal. Gus's world famous chicken, which I'd heard about, but I'm like, just because you can put world famous chicken on the sign doesn't mean that you are. It was great, walking distance from the convention center. As far as lounges, though, afterwards, it was nice to see some parties back. La Aurora had a party. Camacho had a party. It was nice to see little parties, and you certainly could have met people if you got into one of those parties. I would probably say Cuban Creations was probably the best hub, if you will. as far as, a place where people are amassing, but you really just had to find out where everybody was going to be, because it's a lot tougher to do in New Orleans.
Okay. Tim, what about you?
Yeah, well, so I'm a social butterfly, as you can tell. So no, in the past, here's the thing with Vegas and the Square Bar, the Circle Bar. I was that guy I want to go there. I want to network. I want to talk to people. And then now we don't have that. Trying to figure out where you're going to go, how you're going to do it. That's a thing. But then we turned 45 and the joints don't work like they used to. James has got me running all over the trade show floor. We got to do live streams.
You're still young.
We got to talk about that.
45. Yeah. What?
Yeah, I turned 45 this
James
year.
almost said 50. You said 45.
I turned 59 the first day of the show, so I don't want to hear it.
45 in human years. I'm 58 in Army years.
It's the miles. It's not the age.
Yeah. So no, unfortunately, with everything that we have going on, with the lives and the data dumps and everything, we just don't have a whole lot of time to go out. We tried to invite some people to our Airbnb. Apparently nobody wants to hang out with us because we're not making sales, and I don't blame them. They got to go where the crowd is. So, yeah.
So did you eat anything notable? Did you eat anything that you're like, damn, this is really good?
Yeah, we ate one restaurant right by the Airbnb, James. I don't remember what the restaurant name, the kitchen table, the table, something like that. Do you remember, James, what it was?
Yeah, we went there a couple times. I think it was called the kitchen table. Yeah.
Something like that. That was really good. The pizza, not so great. And then I did a Philly cheesesteak on the trade show floor. 1 star, do not recommend.
Any food on the trade show floor.
Yeah.
No, I had a Korean barbecue bowl, which was pretty good. That was at least 3
stars.
I had
that. That was good. That was decent.
Mm-hmm.
James, you're up.
So if it were up to me, which it's not, and I would imagine the city of New Orleans would have quite a lot to say about it. I think that the solution to the problem of a central place would be, like, can we not get that park for these 3 days? Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Right across the street from the
where the opening party was, and tables set up, and look, just bring in food trucks, right? And then there's
great idea.
That would be it. I mean, Josh wanted to have fireworks, so again, it was great, other than no fireworks, I guess, for Josh. But
and we caused a power outage for 5 blocks from that park.
What? Really?
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
But I mean, look, if you set it up, you don't have to have music there, right? You don't. You've got to have drink vendors and food vendors and tables, places for people to sit down and network and have a good time. And that park kind of fits the bill. And as long as it's great weather, like, that's the solution to the problem. But from what all we've heard, Tim's already gone over it. We didn't have time to really go out and network just because of everything we have going on as a program. The Cuba Creations was it. That's where everybody seemed to want to go. But then it became everyone's there, and it's a lot like the Circle Bar, the Square Bar. Like, hey, look, there's not slot machines 5 deep for people to go hang out in, so we got to go find somewhere else.
I think there was one night, James, that you're like, you want to go hang out at whatever club or whatever. And
yeah,
I was just like, no, I'm beat.
No, it's a lot of work. I mean, it really is. But I mean, I would have liked to have at least gone out one night and seen some folks in the industry that I know that I didn't get a chance to talk to at the show, just because you're running back and forth. Food wise, Mulat's was great. There was like 2 days where I didn't eat anything.
There's not a lot of time to eat at the.
No, even afterwards, we didn't go. So the opening party, I remember Friday, like, everybody was grabbing food from the trucks, and I'm like, I don't really want anything. It's fine. Like, from all the little stations, I was fine just drinking water or whatever. And then the next night, Saturday night, like, we didn't go out, and I'm like, or Friday night, we didn't go out to dinner. So I was just like, all right, well, it's fine. Or Saturday. Yeah, it was Saturday night. We didn't go out. And I'm like, fine. So there was like a day we didn't eat, but there was also a little place, like, literally right next to the Airbnb that was like this. I want to call it a bodega. I don't know if you can have a bodega outside of New York, but it was just this little shop that was always busy. And Randy walked over there one day and got a muffaletta, and he loved it. He's like, "This is the greatest thing ever." He gave some to Nick. I think he gave some to Tim.
No, he didn't, because it had olives on it.
Oh, that's right. You are a child.
Yeah, if you don't like olives,
nuggets.
muffaletta is not your jam.
Yeah, he's like, "Where's the chicken nuggies?"
Tim, I will say that.
Do I have chicken nuggies?
I will say, Tim, the mistake you made on the pizza, because I will give Jordan with Cigar Dojo a shout out. He actually, they had an Airbnb and they ordered pizza, and they went on ChatGPT and he put in all his parameters of Yelp reviews and what he wanted, and they ordered pizza, and it was damn good. So props to AI for figuring out where to order pizza from.
Nice.
Yeah, we need to bow down to our AI overlords a little more.
Yeah, right.
Well, one of the other big things that I actually was talking to a lot of people about this after the 2024 trade show in Vegas, about the upcoming, it being in New Orleans. And one of the things, not just the after hours events, but the before hours events. And there are some of us, I mean, Fred, you're an early riser, like an extreme early riser. And some of us are up early. And it's still sort of networking, but it's a different kind of networking. It's more just conversation, family life, and that kind of thing. And that's always been a very important part for me of the trade show, is whatever hotel I was at, whether it was Treasure Island or wherever, is you get up early and you grab a coffee and you go sit in the lobby bar, and maybe you find, maybe you don't find anybody and you're just smoking and thinking about, what you're going to do that day. Or maybe you find one or two friends and you just chat and drink coffee and smoke cigars. That was always one of my big, it charged up my battery to get me going for the trade show day. And I was worried that there wasn't going to be that in New Orleans. So was that a different vibe and a different feel altogether?
Well,
Fred, I'll start.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Look, I mean, we have a standing thing. Jack Tarano and Hector and I all meet for coffee at 6 a.m. or whatever. We did it in Vegas. We just did it again in New Orleans. We just met at the hotel and had cigars in it. And it literally is one of my favorite times, because it's just, you don't have a lot of time to have socially without crowds of people. And that moment in the morning is the only time, because a lot of the industry is not up early. And we do exactly that. We have a cup of coffee and just have a lot of fun, for an hour or an hour and a half. And so, yeah, it's one of my favorite parts of the day. But you had to make an effort because we're not all in the same hotel. Luckily for me, Jack and I were literally, a block away from each other. But yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Okay.
Yeah, they had the
games.
They had the Tatawahe cafe outside where you could smoke.
Right.
Yeah.
And Cafe Du Monde had a truck there where you could coffee and beignet. I think it was free. I think you just had a tip.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I hope it was free, because I just walked off.
I didn't pay for it.
I put money in the jar and I walked off. So I hope it was free.
Yeah. So that was kind of nice, but I didn't see that really being utilized the way I thought it would. There were some, like the first day, we saw Pete Johnson out there. We saw quite a few people out there the first day that we got to say hi and just kind of talk to a little bit. But yeah, it wasn't like there weren't people waiting in line. It was like, oh, I can get a coffee and a beignet and then go into the show. So
It was because the problem is that the show didn't open till later. So if you're a meet for 6, if you're not a manufacturer, you're not getting into the hall for a while. So good idea. I think a lot of people didn't know about it, and I think more people would have shown up there like an hour before the show opening or something and done that if more people knew about it.
Okay. Tim, are you an early riser? You get up early and have coffee and a cigar?
Hashtag hell no. We get to the Airbnb and there's kind of two sides to it, two kitchens. One side has a Keurig. Keurig does not work for me because I'm a heavy coffee drinker. The other side has a coffee pot, no problem. We go over there and I open this thing up and it has an undiscovered mold just on top. Yeah. So instantly we run to Wally World. We buy the Airbnb a new coffee pot. Yeah. So, but we did bring some coffee with us and we were able to drink coffee in the morning, which I agree. I would love to get to the trade show, meet up, have coffee, smoke a cigar. I would love that. We just don't get to do that very often.
No, because we have the live, right?
So we have the morning live.
Yeah, so if the show opens at like on that last day on Monday, it opened at 8 for everybody. So we're trying to get the live done and get a cup of coffee in us and a cigar, and then load everything in the truck and get. It's just the way we do things is definitely not optimal for
conducive to happiness.
Crazy, you're crazy.
Yeah.
Well, and these so Justin and Raul know that like we'll get in some nights at 2, 3, whatever, and I'm up at 6 and usually in the lobby bar by 7.
You're a man.
And I've seen Fred there before. I've seen Hector and Jack, and well, not Jack. I've seen Jack sometimes, but some other people who are also early risers, and it was always one of my favorite parts of the trade show. That's
another plus for New Orleans for me being East Coast, because the problem is that my target to get back to the room is by midnight. So I try to get back to midnight because I know I'm getting up at 4:30. And I don't know how many times in Vegas I like say goodnight to people in the circle bar at midnight, because I really try hard to get there 12:30 at the latest. And I get up at 4:30, and then I go back down, and everybody's saying goodnight at that point at 4:30 in the morning to get a couple hours. And I'm just sitting around there with no friends at Cafe Lux eating corned beef and hash, waiting for my friends to come out. And so New Orleans was a little closer time zone for me to pull that off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The time zone difference was really nice this year.
Yeah. There was no time zone difference for us. There was no time zone difference for us. Yeah, it was perfect.
Well, and I heard that the weather was pretty much perfect. Like
you couldn't have weather was great. Weather was great.
Yeah.
Like I said,
couldn't have been any better.
Overall, this was the best PCA trade show I've been to. I know this is only my 5th one, so I've only got 4 to kind of pit it against, but this was hands down the best PCA trade show.
That's still quite a few,
Yeah, it's enough.
So from I guess going back to the cigar brands thing, was there a big surprise from a brand, whether it was good or bad, that you were like, what? You're doing what now? Anything like that?
Tim, start us out.
Right. No, the only thing that I really saw that I was like, oh, okay, cool. The 601 La Bamba, and coming out with the redos and however they're doing it. I didn't get a chance to really like dig into it and figure out what's going on, but I'm like, hell yeah, whatever you're doing here is good.
Okay. James.
Nothing that I would like to say on air. I'll put it that way.
That's fair. What about you, Fred?
The good, I mentioned it earlier, La Aurora outside their portfolio. Very impressed by that. The ugly, God, enough of the year of the fucking snake. Jesus.
The Chinese Zodiac.
Dang. I mean, it's like every year 2 or 3 more jump on the year of thing, and it's okay. I get it. I haven't smoked a lot of them, so for all I know, they're really all great cigars. I'm just sick of the year of whatever. I'm just sick of it. I don't care anymore. I really don't care anymore.
Yeah.
It's not special to me anymore. So and that's not, like I said, they may be great cigars. I just don't care anymore.
I'm waiting for Matt Booth to release Year of the Taint. It's any day now. I think it's gonna. I think it's gonna.
I hope Matt isn't watching. I really hope Matt isn't.
He will totally do that.
He might be. He might be. So, brands that have been to the trade show before that you saw again this year. Did you notice one that took a noticeable next step? Like they really made a jump this year. James, I see the big head nod. I want to go with you first.
Yeah, Cavalier, without a doubt.
Okay.
It was Cavalier. They were busy all 3 days, all day long. It was one of those things where and you guys know how this goes, right? You go over and you're like, hey, I'd like to get an interview. I'd like to talk with Sebastian. And Brian's like, yep, as soon as he's not busy, man. Like, perfect, Brian, I'll come back, right? You come back 2 hours later, he's slammed. And you walk away and you're like, that booth is busy. So you come back the next day and you're like, hey, Brian, can I get with Sebastian sometime today? Yep, absolutely. As soon as he's not busy, he wants to talk to you. All right, great. Walk away for 2 hours, come back, walk away for 2 hours, come back. And they're always busy. And we finally, I was really happy we got to spend as much time with him as we did. I think he took about a half hour out of his day just to kind of hang out, but they were always busy. Even while he was talking with us, I'm like, if you've got people to go like retail, he's like, nope, you're good. And so for me, that was because usually, you know, I'm not. I hope I'm not being you know, offensive to Cavalier, but usually I could walk in, like it would always be the first interview I did or the last interview I did at the PCA trade show every year. And this year, no, I had to get them when I could get them because they were just swamped, and they were one of the ones that were in the back, but they were always busy. So I think they have taken a noticeable big step as far as brand exposure and probably the amount of humidors they'll be in and around the country in the next few months.
Okay.
Fred.
Michael Herklotz was my experience of never getting in with him. Every time I went by, he was always busy. I think he's got real traction on that. I think Postania has definitely got traction now. They put out a San Andres, which I think was actually 2 months ago. Great cigar. I think they're getting a lot of traction as well, and justly so. I think both those two, and I think Matt with Room All at One has found a way to be under an umbrella and really still be Matt and really still put out things. And I think he's going to start getting a lot of traction as far as that's concerned.
Yeah. Tim's thinking really hard.
I'm trying to think. Here's what I'm thinking, and I don't know if I'm thinking of the same things that James was thinking of. Maybe I shouldn't say it.
Say it.
Say it. Say it.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Okay, I can't do it. James, the overlord James says I can't do it.
Go ahead, Tim. I'm sure you're not going to say anything.
No, I was going to say, as far as steps, I don't know if it's a big step forward, step backwards, what have you. But I was kind of like taken back by the Luciano and Constella. Sorry, got that wrong. That new partnership there. It seems every year there's just so much change within that organization.
Yeah.
What about the apostate black label?
Yeah, that was a big announcement.
You guys cover that one?
Yeah.
About that one out there?
Yeah, actually, we talked to James Brown, and he mentioned that as well. He was really hyped about the anthology, though. Like that was the thing he was super excited about. But yeah, he mentioned that as well. So
yeah, it's interesting that apostate kind of joining the team there. It's one of those announcements where when I heard it, I was surprised, but at the same time, I was like, yeah, that just fits. Yeah, that just fits. So I don't know. I think that could potentially be really good for both those.
You know who else was really busy this year? I mean, they've been kind of busy the last few years, but this year they seemed to be more busy than usual. Was McAuliffe.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Every time I would walk, like the booth was always packed.
Yeah.
Always. So yeah, like I said, like whatever they're doing, they're doing it right. Like people, they're really connecting with people, and I've always loved how they really support brick and mortar. Like that's their focus, and I think that's really starting to resonate with a lot of retailers because it's hard. I mean, look, there's so many brands out there, and these brand owners, you know, as we were saying earlier, have to grind. They have to fly. They have to be on the road X amount of days a year. They have to be doing cut and lights. They have to be doing events, and that gets to be a grind. But when you have a company that, I mean, the face of the company is Al McAuliffe. He's not going out and doing a ton of events. I mean, he's just at that age where, but for them to be able to flourish, that's a feather in the cap of their sales team, and Dan and Amanda there at McAuliffe that are really doing something special with these retailers and for the retailers that that retailers seem to love. So
Yeah,
well, they've got a great cigar at a great price.
well, yeah, that's the other thing, right? But
yeah, the color series really seems to be getting some good traction for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I would also put in that same light, Casada, as far as a brand that is, it's a handoff, which is to the two daughters. Manola's out of it now, living in Madrid. And they've been nailing cigars. They put out like 3 or 4 in a row right now. I mean, their 50th made a lot of lists this year. They had a Lancero project there. They're gaining a lot of traction. It's a brand that's been around for a while, but now seems to have a lot of direction. They've always had good cigars, but now they seem to have direction, and that's another brand that I think is going to see a lot of uptick in the next 12 months.
Nice. So, the motto of How About That Cigar is burn cigars, not bridges. But
you got your lighter out.
Yeah, I've got plenty of butane, and no shortage of butane. So, and this is not really a burning bridges question, but it is it's an honest question that some companies, and we've asked it many times before, that some companies don't necessarily like the answers to. After seeing what you saw at this year's trade show, was there a brand that you saw that you thought, man, I don't know if this might be their last gasp in this business? And yeah, it's one of those questions, and maybe not last gasp. That may be overstating things a bit, but just where you're just thinking they either need to make a sweeping change, or they're going to get left behind by the industry that they're a part of. So I mean, who wants to start with such a
Fred does. I want Fred.
Yeah.
With such a tame, simple question?
I think Saka's completely fucking up. No, I got nobody. I mean, sorry, Steve. No, Steve is kicking ass, and as always has been. I don't know. I mean, I think you would probably. I think I'm not gonna throw anybody under the bus. I would look at the guys that weren't there, maybe. And are they taking a year off to redo it, or where is their brand? But I mean, look, everybody there's trying. I really can't think of anybody offhand, and I don't know if I'd even mentioned anybody. They're all trying in some way. Yeah, I really can't think of anybody that I think has made a big misstep as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, that does make sense, though. People who weren't there, that makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
All right, James, you've been stepping like Indiana Jones so carefully across the stones to not set off the poison arrows.
I'm actually waiting until after the show. We're gonna get some good shit.
Well, yeah, after the show, I can rattle off several, but no, no.
Yeah. Look, this is an industry that's so small, and everybody knows everybody else's dirty laundry, right? Like, that's just the way it is. And the rumor mill's always going. And so with that in mind, I will diplomatically say what Fred said. If you weren't there, like, maybe you're in trouble, maybe you're not. I don't know. I have no idea. But at least everyone that's there is trying. They're putting their best foot forward, and kudos to them for doing that. Traffic was a little slower for some folks. I think if you're new to the game and you're trying your best, keep doing it. Like, if you were at the trade show, you're doing something right. So just keep doing it. I have no problem throwing my peers under the bus, because I throw myself under the bus with them when I talk about cigar media and being petulant children and not doing our jobs and things like that. Yeah, I can absolutely do that. I have no problem with it. But these are folks in the industry that we work with, and they are gracious enough to take their time with us. I am certainly not going to denigrate them or say, give my opinion on their business when I don't have access to their numbers. So kudos to everybody at the trade show. You are all killing it. Good job.
Well played.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Tim?
Yeah, so I have a problem with companies who don't necessarily have a good story and give themselves horrible names. You know, and I'm not going to throw any names out there, but when a cigar brand is created for a funny ha-ha and everybody's just sitting around the campfire joking, I'm going to take your company as a joke too. I don't care if your cigars are good or not. That's my 2 cents.
Thanks for being super vague, Tim.
Okay. I can, I can read between the lines.
Yep.
Show's over. We got to get to the after show.
Raul's like, I gotta know.
Yeah. Hopefully, yeah.
So I think
It is time.
Is it time?
There's no question. It's
all right, guys. It is now time for this week's Numero de los Muertos. All right. So Numero de los Muertos is a segment that is beloved by many, and it's beloved by all.
Who
do I
love
say?
this?
So basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a number, and based on that number, our guests on the panel and our viewers on Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble can leave guesses in the comments, and basically play 20 questions to try to figure out how these people died. So the number this week is 87 recorded in the history of humans.
What?
Have died from this. 87 people in human history have died from this. And you can all now proceed with playing 20 questions to break it down.
This is a workplace accident.
It is not a workplace accident.
Was it premeditated? Is it a premeditated?
It is not premeditated.
Land or sea or air?
Land.
Biological cause from Lou Cross.
Biological cause, I'm going to go with no. No.
Are these people that like died because a vending machine like fell on them, like where they're shaking a vending machine?
That was honestly like one of the very first Numero de los Muertos on How About That?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is it somebody that wants to spill the beans, but they explode from not being able to say what they want to say?
No, it's not that.
User error.
User error, I'd say in some cases, yeah.
Natural disaster.
Not natural disaster, no.
Are animals involved?
Animals are not involved.
Is a machine involved?
Machinery is not involved. Machinery is not involved.
Oh.
And this is
no animals, no machinery.
How about alcohol?
I don't think alcohol is a cause, no. Is a contributing factor, no.
No drugs, no alcohol.
Not that I don't believe so.
87 people in the history of mankind.
Yes.
A lot of people die from hold my beer.
Yeah, right.
No.
That's like 87 a day.
Machines.
Not choking on food.
Nope, not choking. Food's not involved.
Food's not involved. Vehicles involved.
Vehicles not involved.
87 all time.
Weather events.
Not a weather event.
Not falling.
Did they trip?
No, not tripping. Cigars unbanned and falling into something. I mean, sort of.
Quicksand.
Not quicksand. Good guess.
Are these people that were taking selfies and got hurt?
No, not we did selfies. It's not selfies.
Am I the only one that thought quicksand was going to be a lot worse problem when we were kids?
Yeah, right. Yeah,
I know.
I mean, and we all played Pitfall on Atari, so yeah, that's what happens all the time. I mean,
I'm 53. I've never seen quicksand in my life.
Geyser.
Not geyser.
I don't know what that means, David.
Volcano.
Getting kicked into a pit.
Yeah,
This is Sparta.
No, volcano's way higher.
Is it?
Nightclub's way
Not
higher.
a nightclub fire.
Yeah.
Okay,
Swallowed
is this in your home? Is this in your home?
No, not in the home.
So this is out
in the
So
wild.
it's out and about.
It's outdoors.
Did they fall through a manhole? Did they fall
Does
through a
this have
manhole?
anything to do with Burning
Not
Man?
falling through a manhole. No. I will give a hint. It is a recreational activity.
Pickleball.
Been around
No.
for all of mankind.
Okay, golf course. Died on a golf course.
Nope,
Hit
not
by a
golf course.
ball. Oh, damn. Okay. Is it a sport?
Falling into a
Not
well.
following into a well. Not a sport. A recreational activity.
Where's Timmy, Lassie?
Does it,
Where's
does,
Timmy? Is he in another
does it
well?
have anything to do with the glory hole?
New region? Yeah, it is. No.
No.
I'd have to ask
Wait a
Matt
second.
Boofy.
Hold on.
Wait,
You
wait.
have to think about that, though.
Yeah, I got to think about it.
I would have to ask Boofy if it's related to the glory hole, but I don't think it is.
Are sex toys involved?
Not that kind of recreational activity, David.
Javelin.
But
I would
Javelin,
imagine
no.
that number is
Not,
higher.
not
It's
bungee.
outside the house. Is it in the woods?
Traumatic bowling injury.
It could be in the woods. It's outdoors. It's various
Oh, okay.
types of locations outdoors.
People strangled in a hammock.
No.
Oh, I got nothing.
I have no idea.
We're not even narrowing it down.
No, we're really
yeah.
not.
We're
Yeah,
not.
he
I
said
mean,
something
we're
about I was close when I said a quicksand. So it's got to be.
No, I didn't say. No, I said good guess, but I didn't say you were close. It's a good guess.
usually means-
It's a good guess for another show,
Try
but
harder.
not this one.
we're not even narrow. We're not even narrowing.
Not zip
into
lining.
it.
Zip lining. Ooh.
Not
Is it-
zip lining.
So you said
It's not a
recreational.
sport.
I
Not
think
parasailing.
there'd be a lot more.
Parachuting.
Not
Scuba
parachuting. Not
diving?
parasailing.
Skydiving.
Is it
Not
regionally
skydiving.
in the
You
same
said it was
place?
on
Like,
land.
is it in a beach or?
No.
It's all over the world.
Oh gosh.
Hang gliding.
Not hang gliding.
We're getting close
What
though.
kind of gliding is it?
Are these are they amusement park accidents?
Not amusement parks. No.
So we got parasailing maybe or close. Skydiving.
No.
No.
Hang gliding. No.
What is another sport like hand gliding?
You're so
A
close.
rocket
It's
pad.
not a sport.
Wait. Is it those guys in the suits? Those wing suits?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh wow!
Get out of here, James.
Wingsuit.
It is wingsuits.
Wow.
Wow.
And this is one of the craziest things that I could not believe.
That
when
may
I
be the
looked up.
hardest one ever on this show.
It might be. So
6 weeks
guess
later.
when the date of the first recorded death from a wingsuit was?
2000.
2003.
98.
1600 something.
1912.
Holy shit!
Well,
What?
I liked 16.
So,
Wait,
a
is
guy
that the guy
named-
from? Is that the guy from that jumped off the Eiffel Tower? Thought he could fly with the little
that-
suit?
Yeah, a guy
That happened
named
before Red
Franz
Bull.
Reichelt, the inventor of a pre-modern wingsuit, jumped from the Eiffel Tower to his death in a failed test of flight.
Okay,
And in
technically he was
1912.
not an inventor because it didn't work.
It didn't work.
So I mean,
Exactly.
he didn't
Failed-
invent
failed
anything.
inventor.
So his
Wouldn't you
was the
jump with a
first
parachute
recorded
still?
death, and the second recorded death wasn't until 1963, and then pretty much everything after that was from 98 and beyond.
Okay.
And
Wow.
yeah,
EA Sports.
there were more in 2013 than any other year.
It was a bad year
But
to be a wingsuit.
87
Bad
total
year for
recorded
wing,
deaths from wingsuit in
Wow.
human history.
Wow.
So
more
that
you
was this week's Numero de los Muertos. All right, let's jump into the lightning round. Once again, brought to you by J.C. Newman. J.C. Newman Cigar Company, America's oldest family-owned premium cigar maker, creators of the popular Brick House, Perla Del Mar, Diamond Crown, and The American. J.C. Newman Cigar Company operates out of their 114-year-old El Reloj Cigar Factory in historic Cigar City, Tampa, Florida. For more information on their cigars or visitor experience, please visit jcnewman.com. And being that Fred's been on the show before and we have a large panel of guests, I think, should we dive into the what's the word I'm looking for?
Wingsuit?
This massive list of lightning round questions I have.
Let's
Yeah,
start with,
jump in.
Let's start with the. If you had a talk show, your first talk show, who's going to be your guest? And you can say alive or dead. James, we'll start with you.
Talk show, live or dead, first guest. Oh shit! Really? George Washington.
Why?
I love American history. I always have. So I'd want to get his thoughts on like where we're at now, and hear him just bitch for an hour about it.
Fred, you're up next.
Man, I think I'd pick somebody alive. I think it would be a better talk show.
A more engaging guest, at least.
I'm going to go Quentin Tarantino for absolutely no reason whatsoever.
Oh, that's a great pick.
Tim?
That's Anne Rice, Interview with the Vampire.
Oh,
Ooh. Okay.
Nice.
outside the box. I like it. All right. It was right there, and then it went away on my phone. Okay. All right. So, Tim, we're going to start with you since you went last on this last one.
I need time to think.
If you had the power of teleportation, where would be the first place that you would jump to?
Oh, okay. This is easy. So I would wait, teleportation. So I'm going to another place in the same time or any time?
No, in the same time, but a different place.
Ooh, I'd go. You know what? I'd probably go to Nicaragua. What is it? Bighorn Island? Yeah, that's where I would go.
I like it. Fred.
I'd probably go to my coffee maker because it's way across the house sometimes. So I think I'd get there a little quicker.
Nice. James.
Area 51.
E.T. phone home.
Like into the bunkers beneath it?
Yeah.
Like with all the secret shit?
I want to see all the secret shit. I want to see the lizard people. Yeah. 100%.
He just wants to beat the ass of the alien that.
Well, you just got back from New Orleans. You already saw all the lizard people.
Well, fair. There were a lot.
Oh, I like it. All right, let's. No, that one. All right. So, James, you were last. You're now first. The movie that's had the most significant impact on your life.
Honestly, no movie has had any impact on my life. They entertain me. I don't think any movie's ever made me go, damn, I want to change my life because of it. So instead, I will just tell you my favorite movie of all time, Boondock Saints.
Great show.
Okay. Fred?
Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, that's my answer too.
I have, and this is just, so there are some movies that come up in a lot of conversations, with friends for years and years and years. And some movies just are like in so many people's top 5 lists, top 10 lists, whatever. And James, no disrespect, everybody's got, I'm one of those, and I fully acknowledge that I'm a weirdo for saying this, and I've said it to many other people before.
Don't say you didn't like Boondock Saints.
I don't like Boondock Saints.
It's okay to be wrong, Matt. Everybody can be wrong sometimes.
Stop. Show's over.
I've given it multiple chances. I've watched it multiple times, and I just don't get it. And I know that I'm a weirdo. I'm an outlier, and I acknowledge.
I don't know if we can be friends.
Have you tried have you turned the sound on? I mean,
that was it. Damn it. That was I'll try it next time with the sound on.
Yeah.
I'll try it next time with the sound on. I'm one of those. I fully acknowledge that I'm a weirdo for that. All right, let's jump in.
On.
Oh yeah.
Why did that change your view, or why did that change you watching that show? Because you realized you don't want to go to jail?
No, James just said it was entertaining.
Yeah,
he's talking about
Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah,
it's literally my plate says busy living. It's the whole. Honestly, since that,
get busy living or get busy dying.
Yeah, get busy living or get busy dying. I mean, that phrase alone probably just stuck with me forever. I mean, just like that's your choice. I mean, either you go for it or you don't. I mean, yeah.
I love it.
Tim, you too?
No, for me, some of the little things like, escaping from prison and walking out into the yard and just, shaking out some of the rocks from your pant leg and having to do that years after years after years to get to your goal. Like, to me, that's something that's like, all right, cool. You got to dig away at it.
Yeah. I love that. Love it. All right, let's jump into this week's notable smokables. So each week, all of us name a cigar we smoked recently that was notable to us. Now, this could be a cigar that's been on the market for decades that we smoked for the first time in a very long time, or a cigar that's brand new to the market that we smoked for the first time ever. So Fred, starting with you, what's something you smoked recently that really stood out?
I'm just going to go with La Aurora's new one. I mean, ahead
Yeah.
of the show, we talked about it on the show, so I'm gonna say that was definitely notable.
Nice. James, what about you?
I'm gonna go with one of my favorite cigars right now to smoke is the New Dawn from Avowed.
I'm sorry, say that again.
New Dawn from Avowed. That's
okay.
One of my favorite, and it's like just a Connecticut, which I've been moving away from Connecticut's and into the more I really love the Oscuro from Lure Cigars, but that New Dawn, man, that's really good.
Tim?
For me, it's probably the Crown Heads Paniolo 2022. I just hit that one up again, and it is so good.
That was a good year for Paniolo.
Yeah,
definitely. Justy, what about you?
Today actually I had the Fiat Lux Tenebris, the black.
Nice.
Oh, yeah, that was good.
Nice.
Mine was a Herrera Esteli Miami Lonsdale.
Great cigar.
Yeah.
Great cigar. Yep.
I'm sorry, did you say Lancero? No, you said Lonsdale. Okay.
That's a callback.
Just checking. My headphones were a little.
I like it. I like it. So a few weeks ago at Tobacco Grove, it was more when we were there.
Yeah.
I bought a couple of the Davidoff
artist,
the Winston Churchill LE, the artist from this year, and it's a $50 cigar. It's tough to do one on notables that's not awesome, but it was a good cigar. Did I feel like I got $50 worth of smoking experience out of it? I don't, honestly, but it was a good cigar. I have another one. I'm going to smoke it probably in a couple weeks just to get a better feel for it, but we'll see. How the second experience goes.
But you smoked that with me, so that was the experience.
I didn't smoke that one with you.
Well, then, yeah.
No.
Sorry.
Well, all right.
It'd be better if you did smoke it with him. I don't know.
It's probably true. All right. Coming attractions. Next Monday night on April 28th, we have Miguel Shodell from Crown Heads returning to the show. And on May 5th.
Which is what?
Which is Cinco
de Mayo.
We
Tacos and tequila.
We have Chris Duque coming on the show. So
I like that old bastard.
Yeah, he's gonna be fun to talk to. He's one of those people that just everybody knows, and he's a fun guy to hang out with and talk to. So we just can't wait to hear his cigar stories and all that fun stuff. So starting with James and Tim from Simply Stogies, if you guys would please let us know, let our viewers and listeners know where they can find what you guys have going on, and if you have anything special coming up this week.
Yeah, let's you can go to simplystogies.com and check out all the content we've got there. Right now we've got a ton of PCA stuff coming out, all of our interviews from PCA, and that's probably going to be for the foreseeable future, the next 2 to 3 weeks. But you can always find us. The podcast is on the 1st and the 15th of every month, and then our after show is on the 8th and the 22nd. That's hosted by Tim. You can follow us at Simply Stogies Podcast on Instagram. Same with Facebook. I don't really use X that much because who uses X? Yeah, coming up, we don't really have anything. We've got the live show. We do a once a month live show. That'll be the first Friday of May. That's the next time you can catch us. We got something coming out tomorrow with Small Batch Cigar, Andrew and Dave, and Avowed. That releases tomorrow. And then you can see us at Mile Kentucky Herf May 9th and 10th in Ashland, Kentucky. We're going to be doing, I think I can say this now. We're doing a live stream. It's going to be 6.5 hours. We're doing the whole show. We're going to do the pregame from Drew Estate. Should be a great time. Ashland, Kentucky, Fat Ash, my friends Dwight and Steven there are fantastic. Tim's tagging along with me this year. Yeah, it's just one of my favorite lounges, and I love being able to cover this for them every year. And we're doing it this year with in conjunction with My Town TV, and we're gonna have a good time with it. So make sure you guys, if you can't get a ticket to go, which you probably still can, make sure you're tuning into the live stream. Say hello and watch the fun. We're gonna have panels with the owners and the blenders and like a lot of people that are there. So should be a lot of fun.
Awesome. And Fred, if you would please let everybody know where they can keep up with you and with Cigar Press.
Cigarpress.com. We've got a killer contest right now. We're giving away a $700 Nomad grill, supplied by Davidoff. And our magazine that we released shipped today. So we shipped it out to 2,000 stores, like half dozen copies to all the stores or whatever. So you should be able to see it there. And then you can follow me on Twitter, Cigar Press on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. My personal account on Twitter is @Godfather, GODEFADR. I don't post a lot of cigar stuff on there. I just post stupid stuff that I see every day.
And we are here for it. Gentlemen, thank you. Oh, I just realized I didn't do the reveal of the Spirit of Mystery brought to us by Postania Cigars.
Yeah.
We got to do that right now because
hold on a second, guys.
I will say, yeah,
he's gonna get this one wrong.
I'm gonna get. I don't get many of these right. I mean, there's how many whiskeys in the world, and I have to pick that it's one of the 74,000 different varieties of whiskey on planet Earth. Yeah, I'm not. Now, I will say this. I think it's possible because you were just in Texas that this is something from Texas, but I really can't say for sure. I will say this. It's a good whiskey. It's a good bourbon. It's got good flavor. It's got good texture. I got a little bit of that sort of cinnamon thing toward the end, but I didn't get it in the beginning. So I don't think it's one of those Amburana finished whiskeys, but I'll say it's good as far as a guess. Yeah, that's yeah. That is
still Austin.
Still Austin. Oh, it is Texas.
Yep.
Oh, you gave
I gave you the rye before. This
you
is the
gave
bourbon.
me the rye before. This is the bourbon. Okay. Well, yeah, their rye was also good. So stuff from Still Austin, I gotta say, I'm digging it. So thank you for that. Brought to us by Postania Cigars. But gentlemen, thank you all.
Thanks, guys. We appreciate
so much for being on episode 286 and sharing all the details of the PCA trade show from 2025. And we look forward to continued coverage and continuing to read and take in the content that you guys put out. We appreciate what you do for the industry, and just keep up the good work. And thank you so much for being on our show.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hey,
Thank you.
We missed you at the trade show.
We missed you guys. So hopefully we will see you again at trade shows in the future. All right, viewers and listeners, thank you guys so much for being the best part of How About That Cigar Live. So grateful for you watching live on Facebook, live on YouTube, and live on
Rumble.
And of course, if you're listening after the fact on the audio podcast, whether you're driving down the road, whether you're working out, whatever it is you do when you listen to your favorite audio podcast, thank you so much for making How About That Cigar a part of it. It really means a lot. Click on all of the big, beautiful buttons, the like button, the follow button, the subscribe button, whatever it is you have to do to make sure you don't miss anything we have going on How About That Cigar Live. If you have questions for any of us, you can email us on the website, howaboutthatcigar.com. Be sure to follow us on all of your favorite social media platforms. You'll find us at HBT Cigar. And of course, until we see you guys next time, burn cigars,
not bridges.
Thanks, guys. any comments, opinions, viewpoints, or statements presented or uttered by guests on the HBTC podcast, HBTC live video streams, and all other media from HBT Media LLC are solely those of the individual and do not necessarily represent the opinions or viewpoints of How About That Cigar or its parent company, HBT Media LLC, any of our advertising partners, or the premium cigar industry. The primary purpose of How About That Cigar is to entertain and to encourage activity and growth within the community of people who enjoy or want to learn about the enjoyment of premium cigars.